took until the third round of the iWCGPS World Championship Grand Prix Series, but finally, someone other than Alexei Usiakola has found their way to victory lane. Commander Sim Sports driver Mitchell de Jong has officially joined an elite group of drivers and World Championship winner in what was the most exciting race of the 2015 season yet. In an impressive lights of flag victory, the American Red Bull Rallycross driver showed off the same skill that wowed fans throughout the 2014 Pro Series of road racing, and it confirmed that he can go toe-to-toe with the world's greatest sim racers. Fanatic Team Redline proved how teamwork can produce results once again, with Yakola, Enzo Benito and Gregor Hutu finishing P2 through 4 respectively, outsmarting the remainder of the Commander Sim Sports team. This means that Yakola retained the championship lead, albeit with the gap reduced to 30 points. Yet again, however, the two former champions continue to be outmatched by their respective teammates and rivals, both in terms of pace and strategy. Consistent, if not a spectacular result, leave Hutu in third place in the championship so far, but Hugo Louise is clearly struggling. Down in P6 in the championship and already over 50 points behind, the Brazilian will be looking for a better result in the second leg of the North American doubleheader. Next up, it's off to Road America, the 4-mile racetrack regarded as the best test of road racing in North America. You can see why, as the 4-mile racetrack has it all, from long straightaways, ample passing opportunities, and that famous run out of the carousel, down the kink, and in to Canada Corner. It's a track which historically sees varying strategy calls, with plenty of overtaking, and it's a race that can go right down to the wire. In 2014, Len Glacier Racing driver Ollie Picard claimed his first win in the championship, which also marked the first time in series history Finnish drivers locked out the podium. So coming into Road America, the question's going to be, can de Jong claim the double and match the opening round performance of Yakola? What can that new flying Finn continue to do over at Team Redline? Will we see a return to form of past series winners, or will someone else rise to the challenge and see themselves too be added to the list of World Championship Grand Prix winners? The world's greatest sim racers live in the iWCGPS World Championship Grand Prix Series. Watch it! Cars are lined up on the grid. The iWCGPS World Championship Grand Prix Series. We are underway. They all come down into turn 1 for the first time. Round number 4 of the iWCGPS World Championship Grand Prix Series sees drivers head over to the 4-mile racetrack known as the greatest test of road racing in all of Road America. It's the fast, the furious, the ultra exciting Road America as we welcome you here live on RaceSpotTV and iRacing Live. Qualifying has just got itself underway, so we'll take you immediately to the action as drivers are working themselves on their first laps. And so far it is Martin Kroenke who has the provisional pace as we turn our attentions to Hugo Louise, who's working himself now towards turn number 2. Hello ladies and gentlemen, Will Vinson along with Johnny Simon, Rachel Whiteford here on RaceSpotTV and iRacing Live. So looking on board then with that driver of Hugo Louise, your first lot of qualifying times are up on your screens. It's Martin Kroenke from Tommaso Carla, Patrick Holtzman, Oli Picard, Sebastian Job, rounding out your top 5 for the time being. Gregor Hutu is on a lap right now, as is Hugo Louise. There's a look at the 4-time world champion just heading himself on the exit of turn number 1 down in towards turn 2. So for the moment, we'll stay with Hugo Louise as he continues a lap. But you've also got iWCGPS working himself to the start-finish line. He can only do P number 2 for the time being. Let's go back to Louise then, heading himself now down towards Canada Corner. It's one of the most famous sights in all of motorsports, Johnny. And, well, Hugo Louise, he's had himself a tough season so far. This really is his last chance to bounce back before you've got to think that he's already out of the championship hunt.
Yeah, definitely is. Already one race win behind in the point standings. He's got lots of points to make up as well, coming through that famous Canada Corner and then the uphill rise through Bill Mitchell Bend. It's incredible, this track this weekend. Good to see the drivers racing and then screaming, maximizing the track limits. Hugo already a good lap so far, it seems.
Yeah, he works himself towards the start-finish line. What will it be for him? 134.422. That is going to put him into provisional pole position. So it looks as though that Louise is back. Let's see what Gregor Hutu can do. He works himself, Rachel, through towards Bill Mitchell Ben. One more corner of his first lap to go. Or maybe not, as you can see there, Gregor Hutu now heading himself towards the start-finish line. What is he going to be able to do as he works himself towards the stripe? Gregor Hutu, Team Red Line, is going to be a lap starting him for now, actually. So we'll take that one back. He is on to a hot lap. Martin Kroenke, we saw him a moment ago. He is out of pit road. But iWCGPS, it's only P4 for him for the time being. Not the performance you expected of him, but Patrick Holtzman, you can see him here, Johnny, heading himself now on the exit of Canada down towards Bill Mitchell Ben himself.
Yeah, incredibly easy to lose the car here as he tries to go wide. I think he clipped the grass a little bit there, but he's maximizing the track limits, which is good. This is ideal for lap time. Currently in P7, he really needs a good race this event. He's had 3 poor races, really, at the start of the year. Where does he fall in? He's crossed the line. I think he might be starting a lap indeed. So now, Patrick, this is really important to qualify high.
Yep, so Holtzman currently scored in P number 7. Martin Kroenke back out on the racetrack. You can see also Enzo Benito. He is on the racetrack as well as we ride on board with him through turn number 1 and turn number 2. That Fanatic Team Redline machine working itself now down in towards turn number 2 on the racetrack. We have a look back and there you can see iWCGPS. He is on the racetrack once again in that number 4 Team Redline car as well. Hugo Louise is off of the racetrack right now. We've got Oli Picard also off. It's a poor qualifying so far by Oli Picard, Rachel, all the way down in P number 9.
Not the position we'd really expect him to be in, Will, of course. Ricardo, we know he's had some real speed so far this season, so poor qualifying result for him right now, of course. He's only done 1 lap of his allotted, so things could improve. Right now, though, things looking strong, though, for Coanda.
They are indeed. We're having a look down the field. Here you can see Sebastian Joe, by the way, in 11th place right now. Jake Sturgios, he is working himself onto his final lap in that Inex Racing number 5 machine as he heads himself down in towards turn number 2 once again. 6 minutes remaining on the play clock. Martin Kroenke is, I believe, on a hot lap. As you can see there, 6-1 for him, 28.128. We ride on board with him on the exit of the carousel. Now he works himself down into the kink. Flat out. Of course it is, flat out there for Martin Kroenke. One of the interesting things, we'll talk about this, is the wind conditions here. It's a 12-mile-an-hour southerly wind. That is going to make this race potentially very exciting as far as drafting will go in this race. So qualifying is not as important as we've seen at other racetracks, as Kroenke now heads himself underneath the Kohler Bridge into the final corner, catching that curb a little bit. It helps him turn in, pushing wide on the exit of the corner. He runs himself up towards the line. 134.405 is the time to beat. Can he do it as he crosses the start-finish line? Yes, he can. 134 there for Martin Kroenke as he heads himself to the top of his timing stands. The first driver into the 134.3 bracket, and well, now it's a chance for a couple of drivers to try and answer. We're waiting on Louise, we're waiting on Picala, and also on the four-time world champion Gregor Hutu. Hutu is on a lap. He's all the way down in P18, but this is a lap for him now that he's worked himself onto. Going on board with him. Pressure situation now, Johnny, for that driver of Gregor Hutu.
Yeah, but if anyone's going to handle pressure, it is Gregor Hutu himself as he comes towards the braking zone, towards the carousel as well. This is important. We know Redline, or Team Redline, their setups are quite, or dialed in quite perfectly. And now, as you see, through the carousel, perfect there. The car is just glued to the ground, and now through the kink as well. Where is he going to go? Well, we'll have to wait and see if his lap time will put him up, at least high up the order.
Yeah, Hugo Louise is back out onto the racetrack as well. He wants to take that pole position away. 4 minutes remaining in what has been an intensive qualifying so far. Kroenke's qualifying is done. Carter's qualifying is done. Benito's, we think, is done as well. But for Hugo Louise, he will have the opportunity to get one more flying lap in. As we have a look from our aerial coverage brought to you today by An1 Designs. And, well, these drivers, Hutu is the one most needing to get himself a performance here as he works himself onto a full flying lap. He's struggled so far in qualifying. It is now crunch time for Gregor Hutu through turn number 2. We're right on board with him then on the exit of 2, pushing a little bit wide. And Rachel, Hutu's qualifying looks scruffy at best right now.
It's absolutely appalling, Will, for him today. Of course, if he doesn't get a time in, he's actually in danger of not qualifying. This is very difficult for him. He has to get a time in now, and it has to be, well, within the top 35. Yeah, had a bit of a wiggly moment there coming out of turn 3, of course, that right-hand bend, and grabbing a bit of the exit curbing there, which really upset the car. He has to really nail the rest of this lap.
Well, if he gets this one in, he'll have the opportunity to do one more just afterwards. If he actually has an incident on this, and it's actually his second trip out of pit road, if he messes this one up, you're right, he could not qualify. There are no provisional positions given out in this series. You have to make your way in every single race. 38 drivers are attempting to qualify today. The top 35 will make it in. Hutu down towards Canada corner, 42.7, his second sector time. We've got Hugo Louise on the racetrack as well. We'll keep an eye on his lap time. Hutu, through Bill Mitchell-Ben. That number 1 Team Redline car has struggled so far. This looks like a better lap. Through the final corner he comes, he holds it nicely. Using that exit curb as he works himself up the hill. It's going 134.392 to beat for Gregor Hutu. He's not going to do that. Yes, he is. Pole position for Gregor Hutu from absolutely nowhere. He goes to the top of the timing stands by 6/1000ths of a second. Now we have to see whether this driver, Hugo Louise, can improve. He's now working himself on the exit of the carousel. Down through the kink he comes. Just a couple more corners for him to go as he works himself now down this long back straightaway towards Canada corner. So can Hugo Louise now upset the party? It's currently the driver of Gregor Hutu for Team Redline leading from 2 wonderful Coanda drivers, and then you got yourself a Movano driver of Carla in 4th, and then another Redline driver of Benito in 5th. Bit wide there for Hugo Louise. Can he improve as he works himself towards start finish line? 134.405 is the time to beat for him. He cannot go faster. Hugo Louise remains in the 3rd place, Johnny.
Oh, incredibly consistent lap time zone for Hugo. That's pretty close to his teammates, so I think he'd be satisfied about that. But P1 for Gregor Hutu under pressure. That's what it's all about here in the World Championship Series. Incredible job by Gregor Hutu.
Yeah, well, that is everyone qualified, and what an exciting qualifying it has been, Rachel. Easily one of the best we've seen this year.
Yeah, that was beyond exciting. Of course, we didn't really expect that faster lap from Hutu. It looked like a scruffy lap, but apparently the Finn wants to win, so he got himself an amazing time there, and just Wow, that's beyond words. Gregor Hutu doing exactly what we expect in the first time, actually. He'll be on pole this year, and for about 6 races, so finally, the man who doesn't really enjoy qualifying nailed it.
Yeah, and it's been a very long time. We have to think back, really, to before the summer break in 2014, before we saw Hutu get pole position. And, well, the likes of Yakola especially have struggled here, Rachel, all the way down to P number 7. This is the driver who won the first 2 races of the championship.
He is indeed, and it's a tricky track, Will. Breeds some good racing, but with the southerly wind we got here at 12 miles an hour, of course, that means you're going to have tailwind actually leading into the likes of turn 1 and through the carousel. So it's quite a tricky arrangement for these drivers. It's going to be a very exciting race to watch, and qualifying, I think, will be very important here. Although, as we see from the wind mounts, I think you could be right in saying it is a draft fest we're expecting today.
It could well be. Let's get a look then at your qualifying results from this, the 4th round of the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series. And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, there are 2 sessions. We'll give you a full rundown of the grid in about 5 minutes' time. But as far as it goes, is Gregor Hutu finally getting himself a pole position. Qualifying time of 1 minute 34.386, although it's very close in the front row of the grid. Just 6 1,000ths of a second separating Hutu to Martin Kroenke. Hugo Louise in the 3rd place in the Ferrari Coranda Simsport car, with Tommaso Carla from Ivano Frostmaster X Team in the 4th position, and Fanatec Team Redlines Enzo Benito rounding out your top 5. Mo Garfilo, a great qualifying by him here today, out-qualifying 2 Team Redline drivers. He will start in 6th place, with Alexei Yusiakola and Oli Picala only in P7 and P8 respectively. P9 will go to Andre Borcha and then Ilka Herpada for the Orion Race Team, rounding out your top 10. And we head on a little bit further back, and you can see Patrick Holtzman from Ivano in 11th. A nice solid qualifying by him. Antoine Heglin and Sebastian Job nose to tail pretty much in qualifying. They are P12 and 13. Paul Ulbrink not able to match the pace of his Brazilian teammate for the Radicals team. He qualifies in P14th only. And a disappointing day also for Jake Sturgis in the INX Racing Team, only managing P at number 15. Orion Race Team, João Vaz heading himself towards the danger zone. He is in the 16th position with Richard Avery, Isaac Price rounding out your field, and Alex Simpson setting himself a qualifying time 7/10 of a second off the pace. He really is in the danger zone in that Apex Racing UK team car. We're going to step aside for a couple of moments, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back with a look at the pole lap after these messages. You are watching RaceSpotTV, home of the world's biggest sim racing series.
What is it about speed? Do these rivals chase speed because they can? Or because they can't help it? IndyCar, the heart of racing. Go to IndyCar.com for live timing and scoring, upcoming race details, and to join the conversation.
Simulated racing can be awesome, but it can also be kind of a free-for-all. Interestingly, auto racing faced the same problem in its earlier days. Whether it was on the back roads, the beaches, or the city streets, the racing was fun. But there was always a certain level of chaos and danger, until some folks came along and put some order to all of this. Stuff like official racetracks, regulations about weight and equipment, and enforcement of standards. That's what gave us high-speed excitement, fast-paced action, and photo finishes. That's when racing became racing. The guys over at iRacing.com have made the same transformation in the world of sim racing. Sure, they've got the most accurate tracks and realistic cars out there, but that's just the start. See, iRacing analyzes the performance and results of each driver in every race, so you can be sure you're always placed in races where the competition will be tight, and that those reckless drivers who ruin it for us all are kept in the pits. Not to mention that with over 45,000 active members already in their vast community, you can find races day and night, so you can always get in on the action. You can even join a league of your favorite series. And since updates are always automatic, you don't have to worry about software and can focus on the track. Zip up your fire suit and check out iRacing.com.
Candy, what a move. Truex on the outside, contact made. 56 slides it into 4. Who's going to be at the stripe? Did even give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy.
Well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to RaceSpotTV's coverage of the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series. And don't forget, the world's biggest sim racers live in the iRacing.com World Championship Series. We've got ourselves two of the biggest sim racing series in the world. This, the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series, and also the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing.com as well. What a great season they've got going on in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series. You can catch that one on PSR TV, iRacing Live, Fans Choice TV, and MRN, the Motorsports Network. And their next event will be on April 21st from the Bullring, Richmond International Raceway. Well, back here at Road America, it was an incredibly close qualifying. And Johnny Hutu, after having himself some issues actually at the start of qualifying, he actually messed up and aborted his first lap, came back in true sim racer style and just nailed it.
It's a guy that he's really given up with qualifying. He's lost the motivation for it this year, though, and that session there, he's revitalized himself and revitalized his team as well. I hope they're inspired by those efforts, because championship leader Alexei Usiakula is down in 8th position, but a good man, Jeremy Bootloop, up into 4th. Nice qualifying session from him. It's good to see the field pretty much spread out, and it's jumbled up quite nicely there.
Yeah, we can give you an official look now at what your starting grid will be for this, the 4th round of the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series. And we do have confirmation that it is going to be Gregor Hutu starting on pole position, Martin Cronkite in 2nd, Hugo Louise in 3rd, and then Jeremy Bootloop up in P number 4. What a great day it's been for the Radicals Online team today, with their teammate Mogar Philo in P7. They got Tommaso Kana in 5th, Benito 6th, Philo 7th, Alexei Usiakula in 8th, Marty Piatella in 9th, and then Ole Picard rounding out your top 10. The drivers not making it into this race are Frank Levette the 4th, Justin Lindsay and Jorge Montanez. Montanez, a pro driver, trying to race his way up, although we have got Marin S. Kolak, who has qualified. He won't be eligible to race, which will mean that Frank Levesque will, through to the virtue of the rules, Johnny, make himself into the race. And unfortunately, despite a great effort there by Kolak, 17th overall, he will not be entitled to race.
Yeah, Kolak, I raced against him in the Grand Prix Series at Canada. Very strong driver, very consistent, and he's quick as well. And that's why 17th. I think that just goes to show that he's a man, or a man not to be reckoned with. Not to be messed with in the Pro Series later on this year. It's going to be great to see the new talent coming through at the end of 2015.
But Rachel, there's these occasions where you just have to sit back and go, whoa, this has been good. And of course, last year, the first couple of rounds of the championship, it was Glacier Racing. And midway of the season, you had that moment where Jake Sturgis was this close to getting himself a victory in the INX Racing car. What a performance by the Radicals Online team. To my memory, this is their best performance they've had in the World Championship event in a very long time. Bootloop P4, Philo P7.
Yeah, that's certainly true. And Radicals, they have had a bit of a quiet spell, Will, and it's going to be really cool to see them come back. But they've got to work on that race pace. So far, they have struggled this season a little bit. But things change, teams learn new things, and hopefully they can bring some of that forwards. This is a great qualifying for them, and I'm really looking forward to see what they can do with that in the race. Bootloop especially. He languished a little at the start of the season, and now he's got a chance. Although Road America seems to have flipped the tables somewhat on our established order of things, and wow, it's going to be exciting just to see what happens.
And interestingly enough, here's a wonderful fact, Johnny. Jeremy Bootloop, less than 1/10 of a second behind Gregor Hutu. That's insane.
He's French, isn't he? The French power coming in there for Jeremy Boutlib. We know that well, France has lots of strong drivers. Higgelen last race at Sebring had an amazing race there in the top 10 as well of Apex Racing UK. It's good to see the talent coming from all parts of the globe, and especially Finland there. 4 drivers in the top 10 after qualifying. I love the spread of the field here. Drivers from every single country in the world here.
Yeah, what we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get ourselves a look at the pole lap now from the driver of Gregor Hutu, who has, had himself some incidents in the first part of qualifying. Was a little bit slow to get going, but let's go and ride along board then with this, the 4-time champion, as he heads himself now out of Bill Mitchell Bend, and this is into the final corner. You start your lap right here. You head yourself up the hill, down towards turn 1. This is all about braking as late as you possibly can into that first corner. You got to be bold, you got to be brave, and just look at how late Gregor Hutu gets himself onto the brakes. There's for the 3 cone, and now it's after the 1 cone. Late, that car slides around him, manages to hit the apex. That gives him the momentum he needs down into turn number 2. Change the tarmac here, but he gets himself a nice tight line, uses that curve, gets himself a bit of a wiggle on corner exit, but from now again, it's about resetting that brake beast, getting yourself ready for turn number 5. Now, drivers have got to make sure they don't put 4 wheels onto the right hand side of this corner, otherwise they will get their laps disqualified. No issue here for Hutu, using that curb and corner exit. Up the hill he comes, underneath the Corvette bridge into turn 6. Again, nice tight apex, using the curbs nicely on corner exit. Into the hurry down section, first that right hander. Again, using those low curves. It seems to be a feature of that Team Redline car here today. Really utilising those low curbs around this racetrack. Now underneath the Speedfield bridge, taking himself a bit of a wide line for the first part of the carousel, but then tightening it up as he moves himself to the exit, left hand side of the racetrack. Flat out now. All the way through the kink he comes. Again, he doesn't actually use any curb there, interestingly enough. He doesn't push that car all the way to the side of the racetrack. But as he comes down into Canada corner, you can see, again, very late braking, the 2 board, as he uses that curb on corner exit again, which helps him set up nicely to Bill Mitchell Bend. That flick to the left, almost flat out through there, underneath the Coda Bridge, and he's right on that transition of the tarmac. It's very dangerous there, but using the curb on corner exit, and Johnny, that was a qualifying lap. Amazing, especially the way that Hutu is able to utilise those curbs in a way that you generally don't get to see people do anymore.
You put class together, you put a classy team, you put a classy driver, and you put commitment, dedication, hard work, and that's what you get. Pole position in a World Championship Grand Prix Series event for the Road Series, and incredible to see Hutu, because we know this track, I mean, it's bumpy, fast and flowing, lots of undulation. We know the setup is crucially important, but yeah, well, driver really has to push it to the limits. So, I mean, it is important at this stage to really now focus for the race, which is in a few minutes' time.
Well, here's the situation, Rachel. Hutu has been running races from down on the pack for a while. And last season, it was race number 5 that Hutu got himself onto a 7 race winning streak. This is round number 4. He's not won in quite a while. We actually have to go back to round 15, probably previous before that. Round 13, I think, of the 2014 season, before he scored his last victory. He's been down in the doldrums ever since then. But now, this is a chance for Hutu to do what Hutu does best. Run away from the front, dominate the race from the front, get himself victory. But also, we could be in another situation where for the 4th time we have ourselves a pole position driver winning the race. That seems to be the story this season.
It certainly does, and with the pace being so even, of course, that is somewhat want to happen. And, well, we know Hutu's had the pace. He's been up there time-wise with the leaders in the last 2 races. He's just not had the track position. This time, well, it's all his, so if ever he had a chance to win a race, this would be it.
Yep. So, it is that time, once again, where we ask you for your RaceSpotTV picks, and Johnny, I shall come to you first.
Definitely going to be with Hutu for this round. If Alexei Usiakla is not going to be near the top 5 in qualifying, and we know it's easy to pass, but I think I'm going to have to go with Gregor.
Rachel?
Yep, sorry, Gregor Hutu.
I will go a little bit off sequence here, and I am going to say, because of the fact the rest of the Redline drivers have struggled, I think there is an issue in that team, and Hutu is just able to get himself 1 lap. We saw his issues in qualifying. I think be Martin Kroenke claiming victory here today. But of course, we'll find out over the course of the next 100 minutes or so here on RaceSpotTV. This has been the conclusion of our qualifying. And, well, now it's time to head ourselves to the race. And we will be back in just a couple of moments' time after this. You're watching RaceSpotTV. It took until the third round of the iWCGPS World Championship Grand Prix Series, but finally, someone other than iWCGPS has found their way to victory lane. Commander Sim Sports driver Mitchell de Jong has officially joined an elite group of drivers as a World Championship winner in what was the most exciting race of the 2015 season yet. In an impressive lights of flag victory, the American Red Bull Rallycross driver showed off the same skill that wowed fans throughout the 2014 Pro Series of Road Racing, and it confirmed that he can go toe-to-toe with the world's greatest sim racers. Fanatic Team Redline proved how teamwork can produce results once again, with Yakola, Enzo Benito and Gregor Hutu finishing P2 through 4 respectively, outsmarting the remainder of the Commander Sim Sports team. This means that Yakola retained a championship lead, albeit with the gap reduced to 30 points. Yet again, however, the two former champions continue to be outmatched by their respective teammates and rivals, both in terms of pace and strategy. Consistent, if not a spectacular result, leave Hutu in third place in the championship so far, but Hugo Luiz is clearly struggling. Down in P6 in the championship and already over 50 points behind, the Brazilian will be looking for a better result in the second leg of the North American doubleheader. Next up, it's off to Road America, the 4-mile racetrack regarded as the best test of road racing in North America. You can see why, as the 4-mile racetrack has it all, from long straightaways, ample passing opportunities, and that famous run out of the carousel, down the kink, and in to Canada Corner. It's a track which historically sees varying strategy calls, with plenty of overtaking, and it's a race that can go right down to the wire. In 2014, Len Glacier Racing driver Ollie Picard claimed his first win in the championship, which also marked the first time in series history Finnish drivers locked out the podium. So coming into Road America, the question's going to be, can de Jong claim the double and match the opening round performance of Yakola? What can that new flying Finn continue to do over at Team Redline? Will we see a return to form of past series winners, or will someone else rise to the challenge and see themselves too be added to the list of World Championship Grand Prix winners? The world's greatest sim racers live in the iWCGPS World Championship Grand Prix Series. Watch it! Cars are lined up on the grid. The iWCGPS World Championship Grand Prix Series. We are underway. They all come down into turn 1 for the first time. 3 races that are scored complete in the RaceSpotTV World Championship Grand Prix Series, and so far there's been 2 winners, Alexei Yuksiola and Mitchell de Jong. But for the first time in quite a while, Gregor Hutu has got himself a pole position, and anyone who is a long-term fan of the world's greatest road racing series will know that when Hutu's out front, he generally ends himself up in victory lane. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to coverage of the 4th round of the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series here on RaceSpotTV and also on iRacing Live. It's a beautiful day here at Road America. It's hot, temperatures are high, and we've got ourselves a little bit of cloud, but 19km/h winds. That is directly down your front straightaway. It's a southerly wind, so this is going to be a track where drafting is going to be absolutely insane. Now, back in 2014, it was Ollie Picala who came home in first place. Second went to Alexei Yuksiola, and third to Gregor Hutu. The first time in series history we have had an all-finish podium. Who knows? That might be replicated here today, although Picala and Yuksiola have both struggled in qualifying here today. In fact, it took a number of attempts for Hutu to get himself to that pole position. Strategy? Well, we are looking at a clear 1 or 2 stop strategy here. A 1-stopper will be around lap 23. 2 stoppers will be around lap 15 or lap 32. A maximum stint here is 35 laps, so you can do a short early or a short late stint. Fill that car up. There is a multitude of opportunities here today, as we will run you through your starting grid here today, brought to you by And One Design. And starting on pole position, it will be that Team Redline driver of Gregor Hutu. Qualifying time of 1:34.386. Martin Kroenke lining up alongside him on that front row of the grid. Hugo Louise in P number 3, Jeremy Bootloop in P number 4. What a qualifying it has been for Bootloop. Just 71 1,000ths of a second off of pole position. And note also your top 3 drivers separated only by 2 100ths of a second. Tommaso Carlo in P5 for the Movano Frostmaster X team. Then Enzo Benito in 6th. Mogar Filo 7th. Alexei Yuksiola all the way down in P8. Martin Piatella and Ollie Picala rounding out your top 10. We'll cycle it back through the rest of your grid. Will Vincent along with Rachel Whitehead and Johnny Simon. And Rachel, well, we had ourselves a great race 2 weeks ago at Sebring. This one, I really do think, can very easily top that.
Yeah, fully expecting an amazing race today. We're going to have a lot of drafting, which means we'll actually get some passing, Will. Very long straightaways here means a lot of opportunity for that to happen. Big braking zones, lots of really tight corners here, so narrow track. This would make Herman Tilke's head spin in his grave if he was dead, but she isn't, sadly. But there you go. It's going to be exciting, and it's a very old, natural racetrack, so looking forward to a lot of action.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you are a new member to iRacing, don't forget you can get yourself 3 months of iRacing for only $12. That includes all of the free content, plus our favourite car, the Ford GT, both the GT2 and GT3 models. Use that promo code that you see up on your screen. Well, drivers have themselves 2 minutes before they head themselves down to the starting grid for this event. We've talked a lot about this one, but Johnny, qualifying is in the books. Hutu is on pole position. Anything, and I mean anything, can happen over the 47 laps about to take place.
Yeah, and you've got to settle yourself into a rhythm in these next 2 minutes. I know Gregor, watching him now, he's been doing that pit lane entry practice. It's a nice crest as you head into the pit lane. Very easy to lose the rear end. Again, there's so many places on the track where you can lose the rear end, so it's incredibly important to be settled and calm with steering in all sections of the track, as well as start practice as well. Hutu seems to be getting great starts at the moment. We'll see if we can actually replicate that come the start of the race, but that's what you need to do in the warm-up. 2 most important things: practice with race fuel, as well as your pit lane and start practice. 3 things instead.
Indeed, and Rachel, there's one thing about Road America that everyone always needs to remember. If you try and go aggressive with fuel, you might run up the hill and roll right back down it again.
Yeah, that could definitely happen here. It's one of those tracks, and the pit entrance here is so hard. I mean, you don't realise just how late you can push it. That gradient means you can run right up to the top of the hill before you start braking, and you can lose 6 to 8 seconds if you get that a little too early.
Yeah, having a look at Tommaso Carla, he's just come on towards pit road. That's what most of these drivers do at this stage of it. They're practicing starts, they're practicing pretty much everything they can to make sure they are in the best position here. As you can see, Gregor Hooter actually is just working himself down pit road as well in that number 1 Team Redline car. He will start this race from the absolute front of the field here today. So you can see a couple of other drivers scored on the racetrack. You've got Miguel Martin in that Radicals Online number 42 car. It's got a couple of others there as well who will be doing battle over the course of this event. Well, Johnny, in about a minute's time, the talking will stop. 47 laps here at Road America, but everyone forget, turn 1, very narrow.
Very narrow, and it's very important to make sure you're aware. Look in your mirrors throughout the start as well. You can, though, most importantly, it isn't the shortest run down to that first corner, so if you do get a great start, you get the traction going as well, you can jump a lot of positions. I've had experience with that in the Grand Prix series as well. I've jumped about 4 or 5 positions into the first corner. It is possible, so it's great to see the field spread within 1 second. It will be good to see as well if anybody can make up 5 positions into turn 1.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, here we are. The talking stops now as the drivers line themselves up on the starting grid for this, the 4th round of the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series. For more information about the World Championship Grand Prix Series, head over to wcs.iracing.com. Live timing and scoring will be available on the RaceSpotTV website if you head over to timing.RaceSpotTV in just a couple of moments' time. That will start once this race commences. As you can see there, look at our aerial coverage today, brought to you by And One Design. So just waiting for those last couple of drivers now to get themselves on that starting grid, and then we will go racing for 47 laps as those drivers are now pretty much all on the starting grid. Any moment now, those engines will come to life for the 4th round of the championship. Here you can hear the engines now coming to a crescendo. The 4th round of the championship will start right now. There's a very good start there by Gregor Hooter as the cars come down towards turn 1 for the first time. It's a sloppy start there by Hugo Louise. That's going to allow Jeremy Beetaloo to potentially get the run down in towards turn number 1. Beetaloo up into the 3rd position. That'll be Louise down into 4th. Will everyone make it through turn number 1 without incident? The answer to that question is yes, they are, as they now journey down in towards turn number 2 for the first time. Look at the 2-wide racing down the rear of your pack, but out front, look at the swarm of drivers as they head themselves now down in towards turn number 5 for the first time. It is currently Hutu from Cronke from Bootaloo, and you can see Hugo Luis under pressure right now as they come down into turn number 5. That was from Enzo Benito, but it looks as though everyone is through your first couple of corners. No real drama at the start of this event, Johnny.
Yeah, Tommaso Carla, terrible start. He's down into 12th, 6 positions lost already as we head towards the middle part of the lap now. Incredible start, though, from Gregor Hooter, maintained first position. Hugo's dropped back as well slightly. We'll see if Jeremy can maintain this pace at P3.
Yeah, as we ride on board with Tommaso Carla, this is out into the carousel. Let's have a look a little bit further up through the field. As you can see, Hugo Luis trying to find a way back past another slow start in this series then, Rachel, for Hugo Luis in that Commander Sim Sports car.
It was indeed, and Hugo Luis didn't bog down as much as Carla did, but he certainly had a bad start to the race. That car, he really needs to work on those starts, Will, because it's so important when all the fast guys here are getting those jumps. 2-2, blinding start. Cronke went with him. Let's see if Cronke can actually do anything right now in the early laps before Hutu gets away in the mid part.
Yeah, Benito was very close to the rear of Hugo Luis, but had himself a little bit of a slow run for the final corner. So have a look down through your pack a little bit. Oh, we're going to drive on towards pit road, and that is going to be Tommaso Carla there in that number 28 car. So it looks as though his day is going from bad to worse as he's going to drive through pit road. But there you can see Martin Cronke currently scored in 2nd place. The gap between himself and Gregor Hooter is stood at 6 tenths of a second. They worked themselves out of turn number 2. But this is going to be a good chance for us to try and see a look at those speeds. Here we are then. The draft isn't really playing much at this stage as we have a look on board there with Cronke. Actually pretty much nothing there for him at all. A little bit further down the field, you've got Sebastian Joe battling it out with Ollie Picard. And well, Ollie Picard really is struggling here today, Johnny.
He is indeed a race winner in the World Championship as well. He's right onto the back of Patrick Holtzman there. Holtzman into 14th position as well. A very blind apex here as they head towards turn 5 and 6. And then the nice little kink. Dirty Air plays a real part. See Picala almost running off the track. It's going to be interesting at Canada Corner as well, because Dirty Air is very significant as the drivers pass that section of the track. We'll see if Picala can manage his car quite well.
Yeah, as we ride on board with Picard, don't forget, it was just 1 year ago where Picard joined that elite group of names as a World Championship winner. And that was at this track at Road America when he was part of Glacier Racing. And what a difference a year makes. What a difference, actually, a couple of races makes. As Picard had himself a pretty good start to the season. A little bit further up through your field, we have got ourselves close battle going on still between Hugo Luis and Enzo Benito. Now, Luis is currently classified as 1.1 seconds behind Jeremy Bootsloop, although he has still got himself a fast-charging Enzo Benito right behind him as they head down towards turn number 1. Once again, we have a look from the rear of Hugo Luis standing towards turn number 1, but Benito not quite close enough to make a pass. As behind, you've got yourself Alexei Uciacola battling it out with Marty Piatella. Good start for most of these drivers. Holtzman there having himself a battle with Picard. This is a battle for P14 and P at number 15. So right on board with Patrick Holtzman. But it's been a wild start to this race, Rachel. And now these drivers just have to settle down into a rhythm. We've got side-by-side between Samuel Clark and Richard Avery.
Yes, it does indeed, and Avery had a good run there, but it's just not quite got the pace he wanted today, Will. That car there of Avery, he just trying to find some time. He's in a pretty difficult spot on the track right now, where he's running, of course, running down towards the turn 5 bend there. Avery on the inside through 5, getting a good run there, defending against that car of Clark, but Avery's certainly mired in the tricky part of this track.
Yeah, as we have a look a little bit further forward, Dion Verges battling it out with Ricky Alatalo. This is a battle for P number 23, P number 24. Now, Alatalo, we know, generally struggles in qualifying. He is up, though, 8 positions in this race so far. So a good start to this event for Ricky Alatalo in that number 23 car. There's no point in showing you really a replay of the start because pretty much everyone got away cleanly. As you can see, your biggest movers inside of the top 10. And well, we've got another Radicals Online driver now up inside that top 10. That is Jonas Nakurian, now scored in that 10th position. What a great start to this race he's had, Johnny.
Incredible start for him, 5 positions as well, and as you said, Alatalo, his racecraft is amazing. It's only up from here for Alatalo. He's in 24th at the moment. The field, 31 drivers last lap, spread 17 seconds apart. That is absolutely incredible, and it was just going to get even better from this.
Yeah, back out front though. Here you can see Gregor Hutu in that Fnatic Team Redline car, and there you can see the gap between himself and Martin Kroenke. Currently scored at 9 tenths of a second. Last time by 136.934 for Hutu, a 137.068 for Martin Kroenke. We have a look further back, and Kroenke has got Bootsloop all over him right now as they head themselves down into turn 5 once again. It was a 136.973 last time by for Jeremy Bootsloop, and Rachel, that is exactly almost the same time as Gregor Hutu did that last time by. Bootsloop is on fire, but if he wants to get himself anywhere near a podium position, he's going to have to find himself past Kroenke. So I've got a feeling they might be in slightly different strategies.
They could be indeed, and of course Bootsloop, he has pulled away now. A good gap from Hugo Luis, Will, looking to try and find a way past Kroenke. In fact, he is closer than Kroenke is to Hutu, so will have more draft effect over him than he'll be able to pull away from him by hanging on the rear end of Hutu. So right now, Kroenke is in a bad position. Bootsloop could be finding himself into that second position right now. You're right, it could be a strategy call, it could be less fuel in the tank. So we're going to have to see exactly what happens over this run.
Yeah, as you're just having a look, battle between Ollie Picard and Patrick Holtzman. This is down for P number 14, P number 15 right now. They continue to battle it out. As we've also got ourselves a scrap going on between Ollie Picard and Antoine Hegelin. We're on board then with Ollie Picard in that number 3 machine, trying to chase down the Apex Racing UK car of Antoine Hegelin. To give you an update as well on drivers out of the race, well, Johnny, there's only one of them. That is Alex Simpson. There we can see him on pit road in that Apex Racing UK car.
Yeah, unfortunate for Alex. Oh, Bacala. Oh, I think he tapped Anton Higelin almost there, Ali Bacala. But yeah, unfortunate for Alex Simpson. He's had a terrible start to the season. But we'll hopefully get that, or hopefully for him, he gets things sorted from this round onwards. But Ollie Bacala almost lost the car there into turn 1.
Yeah, as we're going to get ourselves a look at that one. Once again, then, we'll ride this one on board with Ollie Picard as they head themselves. This is, let's have a look, up the hill, down towards turn number 1 they come. So we ride on board then with Ollie Picard. You can just see just how sideways he's going to get down in that first corner. Picard really is struggling. And Johnny, this goes back to a point I made in qualifying, that the Redline cars were struggling for pace. He almost tapped there the rear of Hegelin's car, just about avoided him. But these Redline cars overall, with the exception of Hutu, really have been struggling here today.
Yeah, they have Hutu in the lead, though he's 1.1 seconds away. His lap time, though his previous lap was 2/10 up on the drivers behind, but the rest of his teammates, as you say, they are struggling. Alexei Usiakla down in 7th, our championship leader. Bakala making some comments as well after almost hitting the back of Anton Higlin. Higlin knows on the charge now as well. We have to concentrate on him. He finished in the top 10, I think it was 9th last round. So Anton Higlin on a charge. Rico Alatalo as well made up positions. It's incredible to see how much overtaking already in the race.
Yeah, and there is a look at your top 8 right now. And bottom of your screen, it is currently Hutu leading from Cronke from Bootaloo. And then we have ourselves a little bit further back, Benito, Luis, Philo, Yakola, and Piatella. So there, your top 8 as it stands. But Gregor Hutu still continues to lead the way. Having a look down the field a little bit, it's all kind of calmed itself down. Nakurian has been able to get himself past Borcha, by the way. So we have a look now from on board of Andre Borcha. He's now fallen down into 10th place on the racetrack, Rachel.
Yeah, he has, and that's not exactly where he wanted to be right now, of course. Andre Borcha, that car, trying to SimSport, not performing as well as he'd like. Of course, behind Yakola and Piatella, so that's definitely not where that other team cars are on the moment. Of course, Nikurian sitting in front of him, so half the team doing well, half of them struggling.
Yeah, and of course you've got yourself Bootaloo currently in 3rd for the Radicals Online team, and then you've got yourself Philo in 6th and Nakurian in 8th. Down on the field though, Radical on board with David Corbs as he's battling it out right now with his own teammate Yao Vaz. It's battle for P number 18, P number 19 on the racetrack, as Bootaloo is right on the rear once again of Martin Cronke. That's the P2, P3. We've got ourselves some great battles going on all the way through this field, Johnny.
Yeah, we'll see if Bootaloo's strategy is maybe he's fueled a little bit less. I'm not taking away his crazy pace, but at the moment he's so confident. Look at that, he's throwing the car into corners. He's taking shorter lines than Cronke. He's so confident in that car for the moment. Cronke is under immense pressure, and there's no question about it. We'll see on the front straight here as Jeremy Bootaloo tucking into the back of the gearbox. Can he send it up the inside? No, he backs off. So he's very hesitant there. Confident driving the car on his own, but making overtakes, it seems. Well, he's just a bit hesitant so far.
Yeah, a little bit further back, you've got yourself Yakola battling out with Philo. This is down in towards turn number 2. So the battles continue then. We've got one Radicals driver battling out with Kawada SimSport. We've got another one battling it out with a Team Redline driver. They are right there in the mix, right on board with Alexei Usiakla. They work themselves down the hill. This is the draft that we're talking about. Yakola going to look himself to the outside, down in towards turn number 5, and it looks as though that Alexei Usiakla is going to push wide there, and that's going to cost him that position and now put him under a little bit of pressure from Yunus Nakurian. And well, Yakola kind of is struggling here today, Rachel.
He is. Coming off 2 race wins at the start of the season, Will, that's a real struggle for him. Turn 5, so tricky in this car, especially if you get onto those wooden runoff strips. They are so greasy, and the cars do not like to grip on them. Of course, Yakola being forced wide in that corner, that put him on a really off line, so definitely a disadvantage for him there. But yeah, of course, qualified in 8th, he's currently sitting in 7th. He is nowhere near where we expected him to be.
Yeah, as we're having a look there on board with Alexei Usiakla. We're going to step aside for literally 30 seconds, ladies and gentlemen, but we shall be back after this.
What is it about speed? Do these rivals chase speed because they can? Or because they can't help it? IndyCar, the heart of racing. Go to IndyCar.com for live timing and scoring, upcoming race details, and to join the conversation.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry about that, just a quick technical glitch there. As we're having a look then on this ongoing battle. This is between Yakola and Nakurian, and it does look as though that Yakola has been able to find a way past all of a sudden, Johnny.
Yeah. And, well, Nakurian actually, he's matching Gregor Hutu's pace last lap around, as well as Martin Cronke as well. Those 3 are the fastest drivers on track. 36.8s for all of them. Alexei Usiakla, though, it's incredible to see the amount of car control he has through turn 5. Bumpy braking zone. And it's really hard to tell whether a driver's confident or not, because they make mistakes, but they keep the car together. It's very weird to see.
Yeah, Nakurian is flying though right now. We're right back along board of him. He has actually made himself up 7 positions in this race so far. Absolutely sterling job, as he, I do think, might be on a slightly different chassis, but this is one of the things I said, Rachel, before we came on air. This is one track where passing really is doable, and anyone, of course, who's a long-term fan of this series will know that Max DeLorco had himself a race where he just passed pretty much everyone about 4 times. One driver still struggling, though, is Hugo Luis. He has fallen down a good couple of spots now, down 2 positions, rear end of your top 5, trying to battle that out with Enzo Benito in a 3-horse pack right now, with Benito, Luis and Philo.
Yeah, Luis has really not had a great start here today, of course. Fallen back from that start in 3rd position. He's now just dropping back down towards the field, but we've seen him do this a few times, and he's had some good recoveries later on in runs, but he's struggled for the top end pace here, and he's definitely not quite got compared to the other guys here. So hopefully he can pull something out here later. We're not sure what he's going to do on fuel and pit stops, but I'm sure it's to come.
Yeah, having a look through the field, you got side by side down towards turn 1. This is 2 of the Orion race team drivers, and this was David DeCorps and Dion Burgess battling it out for position as well. They continue to scrap it out right now. P number 19 and P number 20. A little bit further up through the field. Well, talk of the town right now is that driver of Nakurian. We're going to try and cycle our camera back just a little bit because he had himself an amazing pass. We're just going to try and see. It wasn't at this point. We'll just try and cycle it back a little bit further back. But Nakurian is absolutely on fire here today. He's worked himself up positions. This is the one over the driver of Marta Piatella, underneath the Corvette bridge. You don't normally pass there, Johnny, but Nakurian was able to make it stick.
Yeah, he played it right. He made Nakurian make a mistake in the braking zone of 4-5 and then up the hill as well. He just stuck it up the inside, very confident as well. Now he's going to need that when he approaches the championship leader. Not that he hasn't approached him yet, but he's going to get right up close to him as they come towards Canada corner it is. Incredible though to see Nukarinen this fast as well, and his pace is quite incredible. At the moment though, Jeremy Bootloop a 36.6 last lap around, incredible time. He's ahead of Martin Kroenke.
Yeah, he is, and there's some absolutely fantastic battles going on right now as Martin Kroenke is now really starting to fall back. Jeremy Bootloop up into that second position. It's been the drive of a life really for this Radicals team. Let's try and see if we can find this pass that happened. We have got ourselves a couple of issues with our replay system today, so we do apologise for that one. But, well, Jeremy Bootloop is now up into that silver medal position. And here we are. Here's going to be a look at this one then. We're right on board with Jeremy Bootloop. And one of the things, actually, to consider here is that Coanda and Team Redline generally have themselves very similar gearing sets. They generally set their cars up to work in clean air rather than working it up in the draft. So this means that you have the opportunity, if you are a team like INX Racing or Radicals Online, to use that longer 7th gear to your advantage. And this is exactly what Jeremy Bootloop has been able to do here today, moving himself up into 2nd place in this field. Absolutely incredible stuff. Rachel, this is the talk of this race so far, the successes of Radicals Online, but also Sebastian Job in the Apex Racing car also moving up positions.
Yeah, we talk a lot in these races, of course, about Coanda and about Team Redline, but it's teams like Radicals and it's teams like Apex who are fighting there constantly, pushing their way through the mid-pack in the actual heart of the racing here, Will. Job's having a great run right now, and of course those Radicals cars are doing amazingly well today. Really impressed with how they're going. Of course, one of the Apex cars up ahead, Antoine Heglin, he's in P12 from 16, Job's in P15 from 18, so yeah. Everyone's moving.
Yep, Sebastian Job is up 3 positions so far, as they can see here. His last lap time, a 137.679. Let's just have a look a little bit further forward, because Benito and Luis, we've got ourselves a big pack here. Philo with Benito. Look at this, almost 3 wide down towards turn number 1. And it is going to be the winner of that one around the outside, I believe. Yes, Benito is going to be able to hold it on there. But here you can see Nakurian is battling out Philo. Nakurian nose to tail right now, battling out with Hugo Luis. And, well, that was a crazy, crazy moment as we've got Philo off. Nakurian's going to go past him. It's all kicked off here as now Yakola has, Nakurian's got himself past Yakola. And now you can see Nakurian going to try and make a move on Hugo Luis down towards turn number 5. What a crazy sequence of events there. We'll get ourselves a replay of this one in a moment's time. But wow, Johnny, we had ourselves there a 4-5 horse battle. That draft down towards turn 1 is proving to be the deciding factor here.
And Hugo was trying to defend from Benito, gave up on that, and then had to defend from Mogar as well. Wow, that's incredible to see. These drivers racing to that limit. Alexi Usiakala capitalizing on it as well. Getting in front of Mogar Filio. I think, though, Nukarina might be lower fuel than everyone else because he is rapidly catching people. And, well, he's almost the fastest man on track, I think, last lap around. He's fourth fastest compared to the leader. So he's definitely under fuel compared to the rest of the drivers, right onto the back of Hugo Luis now towards the end of the lap.
Yeah, as you can see, the moment when Mogar Filo pushed wide, Nakurian then moved himself up. So we had ourselves Benito moving himself past Hugo Luis, and then you also had yourself a secondary moment as well, as the drivers worked themselves down towards turn number one once again. This battle is currently Luis and Nakurian from Yakoda from Filo. As we have a look a little bit further back, Piatella is there, just almost in that mix as well. Nakurian, let's ride on board of him. He's going to try and work himself around the outside of Luis for the second lap in a row. The answer will be no, but Nakurian gets himself a much better run out of turn one, pushing a little bit wide as they head themselves down into turn two once again. But this is an absolutely almighty scrap down in your, well, actually really your front pack. And the thing is here as well, is that these drivers are only 10 seconds behind your race leader as well. Here's Nakurian back along board of him, looking down to the inside. It's going to be easy work when it's all said and done there, moving himself past the 2011 champion, that is Hugo Luis. Nakurian is up one position on the racetrack. Luis is down another spot, but Philo lost out a little bit there, Rachel, because he pushed wide down in turn number two a lap ago.
Yes, he did, of course. This is getting really tight right now with these cars. And, yeah, one small motion, one small mistake gets you a lot of track position lost. Of course, with these cars running so close together, they're punching a great hole in the air right now, and that's actually making the four of them faster than other cars running further apart. So this pack is going to start closing up towards your top five pretty soon.
Yeah, a little bit further down here you can see an ongoing scrap between the likes of Patrick Holtzman and Rico Adatalo, as we have a look from the rear of that driver of Patrick Holtzman, the gap between himself and Rico Adatalo is currently scored at half a second as they work themselves down into Canada corner once again. Now, we talked a little bit earlier on about strategy in this event. We'll run you through it again. One stopper will be around lap number 23, two stopper around lap number 15 and 32. But there's such a wide variance here today that who knows when these drivers come on pit road. Technically, that pit window is already open. No one really has pitted in this race so far, with the exception of Alex Simpson, who scored multiple laps down Barazini and Dimitri Yanis. We haven't got ourselves one driver out of the race, that is Yao Vaz. But once this pit window opens, we're going to need to get ourselves pretty much a notebook every 2 laps running, because this is going to be insane.
Like the olden days where they used to have drivers using stopwatches across the start-finish line to time laps, and you could probably fix races that way. Luckily, these days, technology has obviously evolved quite significantly. Rico Alatalo as well, quite significantly, onto the back of Patrick Holtzman. Can he make a move? No, he can't. He got past Paul Ilbrink last time around, and I think Alexius Siakala is ahead of Hugo Luis, looking at the timing screens as well.
Yeah,
so,
he's done that one earlier.
Wow.
Oh.
Yep, he was earlier indeed. So yeah, so Hugo Luis dropping through the field. So I've accidentally pointed that out.
He's also under threat, Will, from Milgar Filo behind him. So Luis could drop down now to 8th position.
Yep, as there is a look on board with Milgar Filo as he works himself down in towards the King once again. Currently scored in Pinot Bray. Of course, he did lose himself a couple of positions as we work ourselves down in towards Canada once again. And, well, just having a look out front, Hutu last lap time was a 1 minute 36.498. Jeremy Boothloop was a 136.392. He's the fastest driver on the racetrack right now. As they work themselves past the stripe, a 136.4 for Hutu, a 1 minute 36.4 for Boothloop. They are trading fastest laps of the race right now, as the fastest lap of the race so far has indeed been set by that driver of Jeremy Boothloop in that second place. So a great performance right now for that number 24 car. Kroenke still runs himself in 3rd position. He is currently scored as 3.7 seconds behind your race leader. Then it's a 6.9 second gap back to Nakurian. Nakurian has got himself into Benito for company. They have now been able to break away a little bit from the Shakoda versus Luis battle as we cycle ourselves through your top 10. And Luis still under a bit of pressure from Philo, although Philo has dropped back. Wouldn't be surprised if he might have got himself a little bit of dirt on those tyres. He's worked himself wide on the exit of turn number 2. Maybe even clipped that front wing a little bit. As you see, rear end of your top 10. 2 commander drivers battling out for position. Dion Vergers going side by side right now. This is with Paul Ilbrink. This is a run out of turn number 5. Let's get ourselves a very quick look at that one then, as these drivers work themselves down in towards turn number 5. We're going to be on board then with the driver of Dion Verges. This is down in towards turn number 5. He's going to look round the outside. It's so nice to try and be able to make these passes. And looks like Dion Verges gets himself a bit of a good run out the corner, but it's not going to be close enough. He has to remain in position for the time being. Well, it's now pit window is officially open. 14 laps of this race is scored complete. Your top 2 separated by 1.4 seconds. We'll have to keep an eye out on that pit road pretty much from every lap from now on in, as this field has settled itself down, Rachel, but not too much. We've still got Ilbrink battling out with Verges as we have a look from the rear of Paul Ilbrink in that number 16 car.
Yeah, things settle down largely at the front, of course, on the circuit right now. But further back in the field, things are still pretty exciting. Ilbrink is not the only one. Alatalo is up there with him as well. Of course, we've got the battle with Luis Filo and Piadella. So things are getting pretty frisky in the midfield, which will make pitting very interesting. Expect to see large groups of cars coming to pit road at once, but up front it's pretty much status quo. Lots of cars in a single line.
Yeah, Yunus Sakurian now up 11 spots in this event. He has been able to get himself past this driver of Enzo Benito. See a little bit of lap traffic, that is Fulvio Barazzini as well. So right on board with Enzo Benito in that Team Redline car. Last time by a 136.268 from Nakurian, our fastest lap of the event so far. There you can see Nakurian in that number 22 Radicals Online car. We do expect to see him on pit road in the next 2 to 3 laps. And this is the thing, you've got to hope that he come out into some form of clean air. The issue is, Johnny, is that there is a very small window. You have a look all the way back around P26, P27, you might be able to find a gap. The thing for Nakurian is, realistically, he wants to come out behind Frank Levesque, but into some form of clean air.
Yeah, and well, as you said, I don't think there's any clean air looking down the field. I'm trying to find it. The only big gap is between P3 and P4, between Kroenke and Nakurian. There's about 7 seconds. I really don't think that anyone's going to be into that gap after the pit stop. It's going to be incredible to see. If everybody heads pit road at the same time, this is going to be like a mass murder. Everybody coming in to force their pit crew under pressure as well. They're going to have to nail the entry. And we could even see people, this has happened before many times, people heading into pit lane all at the same time, maybe hitting each other into the pit lane entry. Some guys maybe braking later than others. This is going to be very, very interesting in the next couple of laps.
And that's the thing, actually, you can gain...
side by side, Will, gonna have to stop you there because we have Robin Friscox and Andre Borcher side by side. Inex Racing, Team Redline, coming through turn 3.
We'll get ourselves another replay of that one then very quickly for you, as also don't forget, here's a look then on board with that driver of Robin Friscops and Oli Picala alongside him through turn number 1, but it is going to be Oli Picala who gets position. It is still going. We'll go back to have a look at it live as they head themselves down in towards turn number 5 once again. And here you can see Oli Picala ahead of Friscops. Right behind him, you've got yourself Antoine Hegelin. Right on board with Hegelin's currently scored in that 13th place. But to go back to that point that Johnny just made a moment ago as well, you've got yourself the potential for one driver's speed. Everyone else is just trying to use each other as a braking pick. So one driver might cause a multi-car incident, but you might have a situation where multiple cars speed onto pit road. There's a lot of time to be gained or lost. As they can see, huge gaggle of cars right now. This is a battle from P11 all the way through down to about P number 19 on the racetrack. They come down in towards Canada Corner once again. And here's a look at them as they all just kick up that dust on the exit of Canada Corner. Great action here going on down in your mid-pack. Having a look through your field as your top 4 drivers have all stayed out for another lap. On to lap number 17 now. This is going to be very entertaining, actually, if all of these drivers do make it to a one-stop window here. As a little bit further down, you can see a look at these drivers as they storm themselves up the hill. Alatalo going side by side of Ilka Hapana down in towards turn 1. Alatalo on the inside line, Hapana on the outside, and Rico Alatalo will get that position done. In towards turn number 2 they come right now. So move Alatalo up another position into pit number 14 in that Glacier Racing car, and Ilka Hapana is down a spot. He's down 2 positions in this race so far, but still working himself inside that top 15. In fact, he's going to try and make a move back. He's looking down to the inside. He's gone all the way onto the grass there, trying to emulate Ryan Hunter-Reay from a year ago at Indy there, Johnny.
Oh, that was close, and I think Alatalo was a little bit late defending. I'm not sure how the stewards will look at that, but Hapala, nice job to back up the throttle. Now he's under pressure from Sebastian Job behind. Sebastian almost losing the car out of turn 5, I think that was as well. So Alatalo now up from 32nd on the grid to 15th. Incredible job.
Yeah, we're getting ourselves a replay then. And what happened with Ilka Hapana? This is down the run towards turn number 5. You can just see any moment now. I think he tries moving himself to the inside line. We'll get ourselves a pretty good look at it here. I think actually, you see, he just tries to go for a gap that doesn't really exist. Anatalo had already made a defensive move. Hipaya at the same time trying to move across on the racetrack. I'm sure Race Control will have a look at that one after the race. But here's your top 3 drivers. It is currently Hutu from Bootaloo. Gap is 1.3 seconds. A further 3.4 seconds back is that driver of Martin Kroenke, as we're now into number 18 here of 47 in the 4th round of the iWCGPS World Championship Grand Prix Series. And still not really any takers on towards pit road, although we've got a couple coming in this time by. Dion Burgess is onto pit road in the Orion Race Team car. We can cycle that camera back. You can see a couple of others. You've got yourself Benjamin Lindsay in the TNT Racing car also on towards pit road. We've got a couple of others making their journey on towards pit as we speak. So Burgess is going to lead this gaggle of cars onto pit road. You've also got yourself Samuel Clark, Benjamin Lindsay, Tomo Meglek, all making themselves pit stops, as Benjamin Lindsay will be the first one out there in the TNT Racing number 34 machine. He is out of the way in 8.5 seconds. You're going to have yourself Dion Burgess coming up pretty much alongside him. It's a 9.4 second stop for him. Samuel Clark out of the way in 8.3 seconds, and then Tomo Meglek in 10 seconds. And it's actually going to be side by side out of pit road here, and it's going to be Dion Burgess who is going to lose a spot there to Benjamin Lindsay as they work themselves through turn number 1 once again. So a nice little pit stop there, but it's a second quicker. And we're talking about that wide pit stop window here, Rachel. It means that these drivers can be a little bit aggressive if they are on a 2-stopper. And, well, a second will be about 2 laps worth of fuel less in that TNT race car.
Yeah, it will be, and that's a huge difference, of course. It lets them push in a different way throughout this race. But they're still watching his battle with Alatalo. He is flying right now, Will. 32nd up to 14th, and he's now on the back there of Robin Friscops in our INX racing machine. Could be moving himself up to 12th.
Yeah, let's have a look on board then with that driver of Robin Friscops. Let's cycle that camera back and see whether any of this mid-pack will come in towards pit road this time. But, and yes, Anatalo will come in. So you can see Anatale there working himself on towards pit road. So he leads another gaggle of cars now onto pit road. In fact, it looks like it might just be Anatale by himself this time, but it's a pretty lonely way down in pit road as we speak. But 70 kilometers an hour as Anatale comes into his pit box to make himself his first service of the day. Let's look at the pit stop time. Going to cycle it through anywhere. 9 seconds will be about average here. 9.2 seconds out and away for Riku Anatalo as he comes back out onto the racing circuit. So 9.2 seconds, and just have a look, see where he feeds into things. He will have Frank Levesque probably just getting ahead of him. Yes, he does. So realistically now, Anatalo should come out into some clean air. This will mean that he can set himself some fast lap times all by himself, and that is what you want when you're on a two-stopper. The ability to just simply hot lap, Johnny.
Yeah, and Alatalo, so I thought he was running wide at the exit of turn 1. Yeah, incredible. So, clean track for him, hot lap away, hot lap mode on for Riku, and he's going to push to the limit at the moment. 7 seconds to Frank Levesque, the fourth in front of him. Plenty of time to make up. So we know he was underfield, making his way through the field. He's in 27th at the moment coming out of the pits. What can Riku do now? He has to maximize the ability, maximize the potential.
Yeah, Bootaloo is on the pit road. And that number 24 car, you can just see him on your screen. So he does come on towards pit road. This is a two-stopper for him. He's 3 laps away from a one-stopper. The interesting question will be, if he is that close to a one-stop window, will he try and fill it up all the way to the end? He is in the window to go without making another pit stop if he wants to. You've also got Jonas Nakurian on pit road and Mo Garfilo. So the 3 Radicals Online cars coming on pit road at exactly the same time. Be interesting to have a look at the pit stop times here, whether they do the same or whether they split their strategy. Bootaloo then, let's have a look at his pit stop time. As he's getting himself some test tyres, he's going to get himself topped up with race fuel. And let's see, it's 8.8, so he's clearly on a two-stopper. Out and away he goes. 9.1 seconds there from Jonas Nakurian as he heads himself back out onto the racing surface. And then you've got Mo Garfilo, he's on pit road. You've also got Paul Ilbrink on the pit road as we speak. So all 4 of the Radicals cars coming in simultaneously. 8.2 seconds there for Philo. It's the longest stop for Paul Ilbrink. This is 13.7 seconds. Well, it looks like Paul Ilbrink is going to roll the dice there, Johnny, and he's going to try and make this without stopping anymore.
Well, we'll see if this will pay off for him as well. As actually just lighting up the timing screens is Gregor Hutu, 35.9, fastest lap last lap around. And yeah, he will probably might come in as he comes through Canada corner, and it will be incredible to see where he feeds out in comparison to Jeremy Buklip. An 8.8 second pit stop for Jeremy. Where will Gregor feed out? This is very important towards the lead of the race.
Yeah, Patrick Holtzman going very very slowly. By the
No
looks
pit
of
for
it.
Hutu.
Yeah, so it looks very slow actually for Patrick Holtzman, and just having a look
Yeah.
back on our replay to figure out what happened to him. But he was going very slowly a moment ago. Let's try and figure out what happened to him. He pushed wide on the exit of turn number 5. You can see just shaking that car around, and then down into turn number 6, he ran very wide once again. I'm not sure if he's got any damage or something here, Rachel, but Holtzman is going very, very slowly. He might even be out of fuel. I'm not sure. But Holtzman just went to a complete dead stop, actually. So he might have got himself... He reversed as well for a moment. I'm not sure what was going on there for Holtzman, but something wasn't right in that Nirvana car.
I don't know, because he seems to be fine right now. Of course, he's sitting between two cars on track, so his pace is relative. But issue for him potentially something to do with technical issue in the car there.
Yeah, but there's a look at your race leader. It is Gregor Hutu working himself now on lap number 21 of 47 here. And well, Johnny, this is the stage of the race that no one in the world is as good as this driver, Gregor Hutu. He has made up position after position after position at this stage of the race. This is where he has become a 4-time champion. Those couple of laps before he heads himself onto pit road. Last time by 136.172, a tenth of a second faster than Martin Kroenke.
Oh, so Kroenke under pressure as well for Coanda there. For racer Coanda Sim Sport. Gregor Hutu now. Will he pull into the pits? He proved me wrong last time around. The 44 Grand Prix wins. Can he make it 45 today in the iRacing World Championship Road Series, as he will come towards another lap? So this is incredible pace. We were thinking that Gregor was coming towards the end of his stint. He obviously is, but at the moment, though, it's a lot longer than we thought. So Gregor's pace is absolutely incredible today, and I think Jeremy Brutlett really has his hands full to make that 2-stop work.
Yeah, it's one-stop territory clearly now for Gregor Hutu. We are into that one-stop window the next time he works himself past the start-finish line. In fact, he could technically come into pit road. You got yourself side-by-side here. Enzo Benito, Alexei Yakola, the two teammates. Yakola will go past Enzo Benito down in towards turn number 1. So it looks as though the two red line drivers are going to switch themselves up a position, as now you can move that driver of Yakola up 4 positions in this race so far, Rachel.
Yes, he is, and it's a big improvement there from those guys, and looking forward to seeing what they can pull at the end of this one. It looks like strategy is going to be a real factor in this race today, and seeing what these teams are pulling, looking at the one-stop actually being a viable option here. It's going to be exciting.
As a little bit further down in your field, you still get yourself a scrap. This is between 2 other teammates. Whereas we ride along board with Coanda Sim Sports and Andre Borcher. Just ahead of him is Marty Piatella in the number 13 machine. They're scrapping it out. You can see just how hard Andre Borcher is pushing. And it's one of these situations, really, Rachel, where you've got 2 teammates like this. They each have to push as hard as they can. But sometimes it gets a bit annoying looking at the rear wing of your own teammate, especially if you think, and you always think you can go faster than your teammate.
Well, everybody wants to beat their teammate, Will. That's the real test of drivers in a series like this. They all have the same setup to an extent, so you want to prove you are the better driver than your teammates. So being the first of your team is, of course, other than a race win, the victory of the day. And, of course, these guys, they will get frustrated, they will try things, but let's not, mess around here. The team will rather have all the cars come home in one piece than them fighting too hard on track.
Indeed, as you can see, the gap between your race leader, Martin Kroenke, now up to 6 seconds as they work themselves onto lap number 23. So now into one-stop territory for these drivers. No one inside your top 10 has made their journey onto pit road this time by. And it's interesting to note that Ilkka Parla scored at the end of your top 10 is still classified as being within 25 seconds of your race leader. You can see actually Robin Friscop, so you can see Ilkka Parla in that number 8 Orion race team car as they head themselves back down in towards turn number 1 and now into 2 and down towards turn number 5 once again. So we're right on board with Ilkka Parla. You can see actually that's a slow driver just getting himself out of the way. Blue flag rules even are in operation in the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series. A little bit different to what you experience in most of the iRacing series, but here we have a look now on board with Richard Avery. He currently moved himself up 9 spots in this event, battling it out with Isaac Price, a P number 15, P16, Johnny.
Yeah, Richard Avery now coming across the very difficult uphill braking zone now. So he hasn't made his pit stop. Looking at his times, no he hasn't, so he's probably on a 1-stop as well, right behind Isaac Price. And as we talked about, that kink that they just went through there, it looks very simple, but in the car of the Williams that they're in right now, Dirty Air really plays a heavy part as well through the next kink after the carousel. You underestimate how much Dirty Air is in effect when you're following a driver behind. So watch Richard Avery now, I think, as he's coming through the kink. I think that front wing's quite loose there, so for him it seems quite easily, but if you do run a very low front wing, then it is going to affect you quite significantly.
Guys, just a point to make, but Hutu just ran his fastest lap of the race. We are 23 laps into the run, and he just did a 1:35.581, and the last 3 laps have all been 55s. This is incredible.
Yeah, and as we said before, we say it every single time, Gregor Hooter, there is no one better when that fuel comes down. And we saw his issues down in qualifying, but this is now into one-stop territory. We've got Sebastian Job on pit road, as you've got a couple of other drivers, Antoine Hegelin, also making themselves a pit stop right now. There you can see 2 of the Apex Racing drivers. Antoine Hegelin making himself a pit stop, Sebastian Job, and you can see the difference in the lap time is pit stop time is 12.3 seconds. Job's going to be almost alongside his teammate there, Antoine Hegelin, as they come out of pit road. It is single groove as they come out of the pit. 12.3 seconds stop for Job, 11.8 seconds stop for Antoine Hegelin. Antoine Hegelin has the advantage in that battle as they rejoin the racetrack, and this is clear one-stop refueling for these drivers. Benito Yacola, they are still battling it out for position, as there we can see they work themselves down towards Canada corner once again. A little bit further back for third, Isaac Price still battling it out with Richard Avery. We are keeping our eye out on course on this. The World Championship leader is Gregor Hootu. He's onto pit road. Here he is then with 23 laps of this race. Scored complete pretty much halfway. He hands the lead of this race over to Martin Kroenke. Now the question will be, how many laps longer can Martin Kroenke do over Gregor Hootu? We talk about that wide pit stop window. Benito also on towards pit road this time by, as there you can see him just working himself into the pit in that number 9 machine. But let's go and have a look then at the pit stop time for Gregor Hootu as he makes his journey on towards pit road. Stops nicely there in his box. He's got himself the number 1 pit stall, of course. That means it's going to be pretty easy for him to come back out onto the racetrack. Pit stop time, you expect it to be somewhere in that 12 to 15 second window at 11.8. Out and away he comes for Gregor Hootu. He's back onto the racetrack. What can his teammate Enzo Benito do as he's just doing his service right now in that number 9 Fanatec Team Redline machine? He will head himself back out onto the racetrack in a moment's time. Ilka Hapana on pit road, 11.5 second stop for Enzo Benito. Ilka Hapana, there you can see him getting himself his service in the Orion Race Team car. 12.2 seconds as Patrick Holtzman pulls into his pit box. You've got yourself David Corbs just completing his service. 11.8 seconds. Tommaso Carla is now bringing himself into pit road. At the same time, Holtzman looking so he's going to come out of pit road. There we are. 11.4 seconds. Avery making himself a pit stop in 11.5 seconds. As Tommaso Carla, they're going to complete his service. And Johnny, this is what happens when you get a lot of people onto pit road. I've got to say, lots of numbers, and I hope they come out in the right way.
Yeah. Well, Tommaso Carla's feeding onto hopefully he gets onto a nice clean track. Tell you what though, Gregor Hootu, he's got Yoni Tamala in front as Kroenke comes into pits. Gregor Hootu's got 11 seconds of clear track in front. If Kroenke at least come out of the pits in clean air, this will be very crucial, this pit stop.
Yeah, so that was only 1 lap longer than Martin Kroenke. Let's see whether Hugo Luis, indeed, yes, Hugo Luis is going to come onto pit road. Alexei Isiakola on pit road. So they're all coming on pit road at exactly the same time. There you can see, we can zoom our camera out. Our aerial coverage brought to you today by And1 Design. But Martin Kroenke gives that race lead to Marty Piatella for the time being. He'll be the first into his pit stall as he slots nicely into it in that Coanda Sport number 2 car. Let's have a look at the pit stop time for him as he's going to get himself 4 fresh tyres, top up with race fuel to go towards the end of this race, and the pit stop time will be 11 seconds exactly. Gregor Hootu has already gone past Hugo Luis, completing his service right now. It's again a very busy pit road as we await Yakola. He's the first one out, 10.5 seconds for him. Hugo Luis, 11.2 seconds. He comes back out onto the racetrack. There's Andre Borcher, 10.7 seconds stop. Oli Picala, 11.4 seconds. And then Robin Friscop's rear end of this pack coming out onto the racetrack again. 11.1 seconds his pit stop. So once it's all said and done, it will be Gregor Hootu who leads away. Well, here's the interesting thing though, Rachel. You've got yourself 2.5 seconds really the gap between Hootu and Jeremy Boosloop. Although Boosloop will have to stop one more time.
Yeah, he will do, and of course that means, well, the different strategy calls here are very evident in the fact that he will unfortunately lose that time. Bootlet's been running so well, and I have to question the call to put him on a 2-stop when he had this opportunity for a podium. Well, I think it's a bit of a mistake. 1 stop seems to be the way to go here, and, well, he could have gone a couple of laps more, follow the trend of everybody else, and he'd be in a much better position right now. It's just unfortunate.
Isaac Price riding on board of him. He's actually right behind Gregor Hooter. Of course, he's at the end of a fuel run. He hasn't yet pitted. He did think about making a move there over the 4-time champion down in towards Canada corner, decided not to do so. He works himself out the final corner. Mark Piteller's on pit road, and also we've got ourselves the INX Racing driver on pit road. There you can see Isaac Price working himself onto 70 miles an hour, which is what pit road speed is. So everyone now has made themselves one stop in this race, or about to do so. As Martin Piatella, there you can see him in the Commander Sim Sports number 13 machine. Going to get himself a pit stop time around 10 seconds, I would expect. 10.6 seconds as he heads himself back out onto the racetrack. As you can see now, Isaac Price over the brow of the hill, making himself his service as well. Again, expect it to be around 10 seconds at 10.8 as he comes out of pit road back to 70 kilometers an hour. Let's ride along board though with Isaac Price, see where he feeds into it. And as your first round of pit stops are scored complete, it's Hooter from Bootleap, from Kroenke, Nakurian and Philo. They are your top 5, although Hooter and Kroenke don't need to stop again. The drivers of Nakurian, Bootleap and Philo, they each do as well. You can see a driver there just breezing past Isaac Price. That is Samuel Clark in 21st position in that number 40 machine. There is a look at Jeremy Bootleap, who last time by was almost a second, I take that back, yeah, almost a second faster, Johnny, than Gregor Hooter. He needs to catch up to Gregor Hooter. He needs to get past him as quickly as possible. That shouldn't be an issue comparing the fuel loads, but then he has got to go like no tomorrow to get himself as much of a gap as he can in clean air, so when he comes back out, he'll be on fresher tyres and not losing himself too many positions.
Yeah, look at that beautiful clean track and clear track ahead of Gregor Hooter. That's what is ahead for Jeremy Bootleap at the moment. Can he get past 1.3 seconds, gain half a second in half a lap? So we're expecting him to get right onto the back of Gregor very, very shortly in the next 1 or 2 laps. But as you say now, actually what I want to point out is I thought maybe Bootleap's tyres would be a bit worn out at this stage, but it seems like it's fuel plays a bigger part obviously in these cars than at tyres towards the end of the stint. Jeremy 1.1 seconds down the relative times, and Gregor getting onto the grass as well. So Gregor's pushing, but he's got a comfortable lead over Martin. We'll see how far Jeremy can push in that clean air.
Well, the gap is now officially 1 second, 20 laps remaining. If you just joined us, the story of this race so far has been Gregor Hooter has led pretty much every single lap of this race. The only time he hasn't is when he came on towards pit road. But it's been a determined drive by this driver, Jeremy Bootleap. He started himself in P4, running in P2. The issue is he's got to make himself another pit stop, as do his Radicals Online teammates. Most drivers are on a one-stop strategy. The Radicals drivers, just a group of about 6 or 7 who are on a 2-stopper. You can see as we ride back along board with Jeremy Bootleap, he's now into that dirty air. The gap is just 6 tenths per second, but you can see how quickly that's going to come down as they work themselves through the kink into Canada corner. Jeremy Bootleap, that gap will be half a second by the time they come past the start-finish line. But the issue now for Bootleap is he will have to pass that 4-time champion as quickly as he possibly can. He cannot afford to just have that issue that I'm passing a 4-time champion. He's just being Mitchell Bend they come. Gap 4 tenths per second. So they head themselves up the hill, down towards turn 1. He won't be close enough this time by Rachel, but he might be close enough into turn number 5.
He could well be. And I think we just had an issue there for Paul Ilbrink. He has fallen back. Lost a couple of positions to Canada corner, Will. His car is not looking particularly happy.
Yeah, we'll go back to this one in a moment's time. We're going to keep it with this battle for the race lead for the moment. Gap is again about half a second now. Bootleap's going to need a good run out of this corner. He's not quite close enough. And the issue for him now will be is that he won't actually be able to do anything for another pretty much half a lap. In fact, he's dropped back a little bit further down the field than he would have wanted to at this stage in the race. And just trying to pick him out here. This is down in towards turn number 5. But Paul Ilbrink, he has lost himself a couple of positions now. He's down into P number 28 on the racetrack. So there is a look at Paul Ilbrink. As you can see, he's down in P number 28. We've got ourselves Hooter still leading the way as the gap between himself and actually we've got ourselves a battle going on. This is Yakoda and Hugo Louise, and it looks as though that Louise and Yakoda are pretty much going side by side once again there. And well, this is a great little scrap going on for position with 19 laps of this event to go. Yakoda right behind Hugo Louise, and this is incredible because you've got Enzo Benito right there as well. You got yourself 2 red line drivers each trying to get themselves past the 2011 world champion, that's Hugo Luis. They head themselves down towards Canada corner once again. Here is Luis on board of him. Yakola just a tenth of a second further back. We only caught the rear end of that battle, but this is an incredible scrap going on right now, Johnny.
Oh, and we'll see if these red line drivers can hound Hugo, as you said,
Bootaloop
champion.
to the lead, sorry. Bootaloop there, taking past Gregor Hutu. Clean, easy run down towards turn number 1. And when it was all said and done, Johnny, it was as simple as that.
Yeah, Hutu not bothering to defend, and Bootaloop up into the lead now. He has to push, as we talked about earlier. He really has to push to the limit right now. Make up. Remember, he has to make an extra pit stop. If you're just joining us, he has to make an extra pit stop compared to all the leaders. He's on a 2-stop strategy. The fuel is not enough on this stint to complete the race. At least we don't think. It would be quite surprising if it is. But Jeremy Bootaloop on a charge. And, well, the dirty air affected him the first lap around, so he's lost that extra lap of clean air, which is crucially important.
Yeah, we're just showing yourselves a couple of replays. This is the first one, Hugo Luis battling it out with that red line driver of Alexei Yakola. They went side by side through the hurry down section of the racetrack. Great little scrap that went on with those. And they'll show you the replay now of Jeremy Bootaloop. They'll ride along board with him. This is down the run down in towards Bill Mitchell Bend. And you just see the closing right here. This is the difference between the fuel. Fuel is worth a lot here at Road America. It's worth about at least a second a lap. Out of the final corner, you can see Hutu didn't really one wide himself, but Bootaloop just got himself an absolutely perfect run in the draft. The overspeed working absolutely beautiful for him, and he takes a lunge down to the inside, down in towards turn 1. Jeremy Bootaloop is leading his first laps in the RaceSpotTV World Championship Grand Prix Series, and this is an absolutely incredible drive, even though he will have to pit again in this event. 17 laps now to go, and they can see officially your race leader is Jeremy Bootaloop. For the Radicals on line car further back, Yakola and Luis still going at it, Rachel. And well, Yakola lost that position. He kind of wants it back right now. The gap is 2 tenths of a second as he's trying to get himself back past Hugo Luis in that kind of Sim Sports car. Down in towards turn number 1. Here he goes.
He'll go too wide with Hugo Luis. They're running to turn 1 inside line there for Alexei Yakola. Getting that pass easily completed. Luis letting him go. But right now, both of those actually guys have moved up significantly. Luis was running 9th and 10th in this race. He's up to 6th now. And Yakola is, well, he's actually in 6th and Luis is in 7th. So both of them have improved, although unfortunately Luis is on the recovery from his 3rd position start wheel. Those cars dropping back now. Yakola have once freed from Luis. I think he's beginning to pull away a little bit, so this could be a charge towards the front for Alexei.
Yeah, as we see there, Benjamin Lindsay in the TNT racing car just working himself past Robin Friscox. Right off for P number 13, P number 14, 17 laps of this event to go. Whilst we have the opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to quickly take you RaceSpotTV side by side. We'll be back in just 1 moment's time.
The NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing.com has officially begun.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the 4th round of the RaceSpotTV World Championship Grand Prix Series. Jeremy Bootaloop now has led himself 2 laps in this event, and he's pulling away from Gregor Hutu, and this is exactly what he needs to do. He's on a 2-stop race, and this means he has got to push like Michael Schumacher back at the 1998 Hungarian Grand Prix. This won't get him the race win, but he needs this to potentially get himself a podium finish. He started P4 here today, and he wants to get himself some good race results. Don't forget, the next round of the NASCAR Peak Entry Series, powered by iRacing.com, will be on April 21st at 9 PM Eastern Time. You can catch that with our friends over at PSR TV. Race also streamed on iRacing Live, MRN, the Motorsports Network, and also Fans Choice TV. Bootloop then heading himself out the final corner to put his 31st lap in the books. He's not far away, Rachel, from his second pit stop. And we also had ourselves a moment a couple of laps ago between Enzo Benito and Hugo Luis, where Benito almost took out Hugo Luis. We're going to try and get ourselves a replay of this.
Yeah, that was a close one there between Benito and Luis, but Bootloop having a great run today. That car is doing so well. That Radical Steel Series car leading his race. We knew he was making improvements, and it's great to see that car up there. Of course, he will need to come in again. So he hasn't got enough time over Hutu to come out in front. So unfortunately, that is a hand deal we dealt. It does depend on where he can come out, I should say. Probably still the top 5 somewhere, but it depends on what the likes of Nakurian, Hilo and Yakola are doing strategy-wise.
Benjamin Lindsay onto pit road then to make his second pit stop. So that second pit stop window is clearly open. Out of the way for Benjamin Lindsay in that TNT Racing car. 9 seconds. So we do expect to see the likes of Bootaloop and also Nakurian and Philo onto pit road in the next 2 to 3 laps. So there you can see the gap between Bootaloop and Gregor Hutu is currently 3.7 seconds. I'm just trying to figure out where he's going to fall in though. And this will put him potentially all the way down in P number 17, Johnny.
Oh, no. And that's the thing with this track. I remember this is my first ever race in this car here, and I remember the first thing I discussed with my team was the long pit lane and how we should work strategy around that. 1 stopping instead of 2 stopping is certainly the way to go this afternoon. So Jeremy, maybe in testing, has found another reason to 2-stop this afternoon, but at the moment it doesn't look like it's going to work out for him. As I said, very long pit lane. You'd expect everybody to be 1-stopping.
Reading on board with Rico Alatalo. As you can see, his first pit stop was 9.2. We expect him on pit road again as well. He is battling it out though with Marta Piatella in the Ferrari Squire Sim Sport car as they head themselves out of the final corner up that long run towards turn number 1 once again, as we've got ourselves Mogar Philo on pit road this time by. So expect to see potentially Bootloop on pit road this time by. Alatalo moves himself there past the driver of Marta Piatella as they come down in towards turn number 1. But here is Mogar Philo on pit road, and the issue for him, Rachel, is that he had such a good qualifying. Radicals had themselves such a good qualifying, and when you're that high up in the field, you go to the 1-stopper. It's a safer option here. They had themselves the early track position.
Yeah, they did, and well, track position here has been a lot. We have seen passing, but it has been at a premium, so the strategy is the biggest decider here in terms of where you come out. Of course, not only does it, when you pit, of course, dictates where you come out in traffic. Clean air, so vital here, but the strategy call, 1 and 2. We've got a few drivers running 2. Most are on the 1, as we mentioned. That pit road is lengthy and slow. So, yeah, looks like the 1-stop has won out here today.
Yeah, there is Jeremy Bootloop. We expect him in this time by. There will be 13 laps to go at the line. That Radicals Online car working himself out the final corner. Will he come into pit road? No, he will stay out and do another lap. Here's the thing, Johnny. Every lap right now is vital because every lap they are about 7 tenths of a second faster than Hutu. They are pulling out. This is the important thing. He's not racing Hutu. He's racing your mid-pack. And right now, I think he might come out around P12, P13. He will have fresh boots in the end. As we can see there, riding on board of Anatalo once again, trying to catch up to the rear of Enzo Benito. Out of the final corner they come. And will Anatalo coming towards pit road? No. So he's battling in the mid-pack, is that driver of Bootaloop right now, as is the likes of Alatalo, as is also the likes of Nakurian, as this time Alatalo will head himself past Enzo Benito.
Yes, Alatalo now into clean air as well. Jeremy Bootloop, how much time can he make up? The more the better. The longer he is staying out, the better as well. Remember though, when they make their pit stops, they'll be incredibly faster than everyone else. They have fresh tyres coming out of the pit lane. How will they handle it though? And we know Alatalo's racecraft is top notch, one of the best in the world at the moment in iRacing. So we'll see how Riku handles that. But it's especially important for Jeremy to have a great finish, hopefully at least in the top 5.
Isaac Price just working himself past his teammate there as they came down in towards turn number 1. Oli Picard battling out with Andre Borcher. This was a P number 11, P12. We circle that camera back around. They can see Oli Picard trying to catch up to the rear of Andre Borcher. A really tough race for Picard here today. We'll talk about this one in a little while. Here you can see then Jeremy Boonsloop once again. We had another driver on pit road a couple of laps ago, as Mogar hasn't made himself a second pit stop. We know that one. Nakurian we expect on pit road. Here comes Boonsloop then onto pit road. Look at how aggressive he's going to be, almost on the grass as he runs himself onto pit road, right to the limit for Jeremy Boonsloop. He knows this might well have been the wrong strategy for him. He knows he's got to push every single corner of every single lap, including that pit entry. His teammate Nakurian is on pit road as well. So Nakurian and Boonsloop are in at exactly the same time. Here's a look then for Jeremy Boonsloop as he makes his second pit stop. He's falling down the timing, scoring and ready. Down into P number 3, and he's going to be passed every single second here. As you see, P4, P5, pit stop time, it'll be about 9 seconds. Go back on board with Jeremy Boonsloop. Where will he come out? He's currently P8. There's a gaggle of cars around here, as Boonsloop will come out in P9 for the time being. It looks as though he will be able to hold on to P number 9. So it's not the end of the world there for Jeremy Boonsloop, but it's a tough break for him after all, as Jonas Nakurian back out and away. 13 place it will be for him. 7.7 second start. He comes back out onto the racetrack. Well, Boonsloop, when he considered he started this race in P number 4, Rachel, it's a bit of a disappointment, but he's done himself a bit of time. The gap out front is 3.3 seconds to Andre Borgia. He'll have fresher tyres, and they'll each have the same amount of fuel to try and ding it out towards the end of this event.
Yeah, and those fresh tyres are going to be a major factor here for Boonsloop. He can really pull something with this one, depending on just how fast he gets his tyres working. This car's a little bit itchy on the first lap out of the pits, so he's going to be wanting to get that completed so he can have that extra grip coming through the second lap. Once he has that, I think he actually has the times and the speed to keep himself up there. He might actually maybe catch Bacala or Piatella, maybe Benito towards the end of this race, but right now Boonsloop has got less fuel weight, fresher tyres. I think he can pull himself up towards the top 6. We'll see.
We're riding along board with Isaac Price. This is a nice little scrap going on. Give you an update. Anatalo has made his second stop, 7.7 seconds. But this is a great scrap going on right now. You start off with Sebastian Jobe in P number 14. You've got David Corps, Isaac Price, Shawnee Tomato, Richard Avery, Mogar Philo, all in the mix here. Mogar Philo, of course, on the fresher of the tyres, as we've got side by side just ahead of him as well. David Corps looking down to the inside. Sebastian Jobe, Jobe pushing wide. This is going to allow De Corps to look around the outside of Bill Mitchell. Ben, you don't try and pass here, but De Corps is going to be able to make it stick. What a move there, Johnny.
Oh, look at this. Isaac Price now trying to capitalize on the job under pressure. And now Isaac Price up the inside. Can he indeed stick it? I think the job has the advantage of the slipstream in front. This is incredible. Can Isaac Price pass 2 drivers across the main straight?
He's going to do it. He's going to look down to the inside in turn number 1. He will get that position away. Move Isaac Price now up into the 14th position on the racetrack. We have a look from the rear of him. Isaac Price, what a sequence of corners there's behind. You've got yourself 2 wide scrapping as well. As you can see, you've got yourself Richard Avery getting himself past Mogar Philo and Philo. These 3 drivers are going to be pretty much side by side, almost 3 wides. They head himself down into turn number 5. You can see there's 1 driver past. That's Sebastian Jobe. He's really fallen back this lap. But Philo, you're looking down to the inside of the Friction Racing car, not being able to do anything about it. And side by side ahead of them as well, David Corps, Richard Avery, they are scrapping it out. We need to get ourselves a look at the entire sequence of events once again, because this one, it just concertinaed all together, Rachel.
It has indeed, and this is made for some great racing right now, of course. These cars so close together, and this will be for finishing position. Most of these guys have stopped, so now it's all about those positions. You can gain what you can here. With them being so close, this is 4 or 5 positions in a mix you can have.
Yeah, here's a look then up the start-finish line once again for Isaac Price. You can see he worked himself past 1 driver. He got himself past the number 32, a Ryan car, down in towards turn 1. 2 wide, 2 deep. You'd think you'd be racing on an oval at this stage of the race. And we talk about how Road America has ample passing opportunities, and well, 10 laps to go, we still got ourselves a great race on our hands. Looking down the field a little bit, there you can see Richard Avery still scrapping out with Mogar Philo. Neither of these drivers have to pit at all in this race. There's a look from the rear, Mogar Philo cycling them forwards. They head themselves up the hill once again. The issue for Philo is, because these cars are so close together, Johnny, they're each getting the same amount of draft, so you're not really gaining anything by being in the draft if you are Mogar Philo.
He needs to be uncanny then. He needs to set up something. Oh, is that someone that's David Corps trying to have a look? He gets a terrible... Sorry, yeah, oh, as well, yes. So, wow. So Jake Burgess as well behind. Can Mogar Philo indeed capitalize on this? He needs to soon.
Yeah, and this is the second battle going on between Jake Sturgis and Sebastian Job. A little bit further ahead, you can see Richard Avery right up to the rear of David Corpse as they come down in towards turn number 5. And it's going to be Richard Avery all the way down to the grass. They come themselves down into that 5th corner. You can hold the outside line there. It will tuck yourself nicely into the next corner. Avery going to be under pressure now from Mogarfilo as they head themselves up the hill into turn number 6. Mogarfilo down to the inside. Mogarfilo is going to be side by side there with Richard Avery, and he's going to sweep around the outside. Will Mogarfilo, so he does move himself up now. One position. So Mogarfilo now up into the 17th spot. His issue is that he's caught in a ton of traffic right now. Boostleap, by the way, has closed that gap up to Andre Borgia ahead of him. That gap is now just 1 second. Last time by 135.9 for Boostleap, 137.0, Rachel, for Andre Borgia.
It is indeed, and Andre Borch is definitely moving, and, well, he's been pretty stagnant all race. He's been roaming around that top end of the top 10 right now, of course, sitting in 8th position. So, nice to see what he can pull towards the end of this one, of course. Bakala up ahead of him, 2 seconds up the road. Can he make something happen? We don't know, but Bootaloop behind him is definitely charging.
There's a look at this battle going on then for P number 8, P number 9. Out from, it's not all over. And this is one that we've kind of avoided a little bit, Johnny. But it's not all over. Gregor Hutu only has himself a 2.4 second gap over Martin Kroenke. Last time by, Kroenke was faster by a 1/10.5. Now he's going to have to do a little bit more than that, but Kroenke is coming.
He's definitely coming, and well, what can you do at this stage of the race? You can start to make some in-car adjustments and dial in a few settings to help with the lower fuel loads as you come towards the end of the stint. And, well, you're already into that rhythm. We've been driving for about 1 hour and 15 minutes now, these drivers, in this race so far. Kroenke is pushing, though. You can see he is not leaving a millimeter of width on this track to rest. He is absolutely maximizing it. This lap around, though, we'll have a look at the lap times as they come across the front stretch. We'll see if Kroenke has indeed caught up to Gregor for the lead. It's going to be very optimistic to think he can win it, but as you said, it is possible, so we must concentrate on it.
Last time by 136.1. Hutu responds 1 minute 36.2 for Martin Kroenke. The gap remains steady at 2.5 seconds. A nice freeway battle going on though. Down, this is for P5, 6 and 7. This is between Enzo Benito, Martin Piatella and Oli Pacala as Pacala tries to make something of his day here today. Benito running in P5. It's got Koala Simsports, Martin Piatella right behind him.
Very well, but here comes Bootaloop.
Bootaloop is battle for position here with Andre Borgia right behind him, down in towards turn number 1. Bootaloop takes that position away. He moves himself up into P number 8, but just ahead of him now. He's got himself 1.6 seconds before he catches Oli Pacala. And last time by, Bootaloop at 136.1 compared to 136.6 for Pacala, 137 last time by for Piatella, and a 136.9 for Enzo Benito. So Bootaloop on those fresher tyres is still charging, Rachel.
Yeah, they are, and of course there's 3 cars together up there, so he can theoretically move up to P5 in this one, Will. And with his speed at the moment, I think he will. He really has a good move at the moment. He's led laps, he's been so fast and so consistent. The strategy's hurt him, but I genuinely think Bootaloop can do this.
Wait, if you're the Radicals team manager after this race, you've got to ask yourself a question. Was it worth it? Because, of course, we know raw pacing qualifying is only one thing. In a race, it can be so different. And we know that come race time, those 2 teams, Coanda and Redline, often are the teams to beat. But the Radicals have gone toe-to-toe today. Just to give you an update, Martin Kroenke has that gap back down now to 2.1 seconds right along board of him. Last time by, 136.2 for Hutu, 135.9 for Kroenke. Kroenke is ringing it out with 7 laps to go in this event. We've got ourselves scraps going on all over the place. Down in your pack, you got yourself the driver of Mogarfilo up into P15. Then behind, an ongoing strap between Tomara, the Corpse and Avery. Johnny, I don't know where to look for the action anymore.
Yeah, and look at David the Corpse now. Can he stick it up the inside? No, it's too far back there. And now Richard Avery wants a piece of this battle as well. I have no idea where to start. David the Corpse wants to lose the car and give us more action to talk about here. He keeps it together. So this is incredible racing. 7 laps remaining. The lead is nowhere near done at the moment. I've just seen the gap creep up though. It seems Kroenke's made a mistake. Richard Avery now wants to make a pass.
Yeah, Kroenke's made a mistake. Here you can see Richard Avery down to the inside, down in towards turn number 1. Battling it out that number 32 machine of David the Corpse. Who will be the last of the late breakers? Who will win the LAC award? It will be David the Corpse. He's able to hold on for the time being. Richard Avery being cautious there in that number 44 Friction Racing car. A little bit further back up through the pack. You've got yourself Antoine Heglin battling it out of Jonas Nakurian. This is for P number 12, P13. The Korean lost out a little bit there in that pit sequence as well, but the Apex Racing car battling out with Radicals Online machine. And it's interesting to note, actually, for Yunus the Korean, that in this race he has moved up 2 positions overall. But Rachel, he's been passing cars left, right and centre today.
He has, and it's great to see that. It's a really exciting race from him, so I love seeing some of these guys who are starting further back but moving up so well. Obviously qualifying programs need to be worked on, but a great performance increasing.
As further up, here's Piatella still trying to battle with Enzo Benito. Interesting to note, by the way, that Hugo Luis somehow has been able to get himself into 4th place. He's only lost himself 1 position overall. He was struggling. We've seen this so often this season with Hugo Luis. You saw it before he had his mid-season retirement last season, that he struggles in that first stage of the race. He struggled here again, but he's ended up with a net P4, so that pit stop for Luis kind of worked out for him, Johnny.
Yeah, so we give him so much pressure because of that World Championship. We're always expecting him to win races. So, I mean, it's still not bad for him P4, especially this season, knowing the first 3 races weren't perfect for him. Martin Kroenke, though, 1 second slower last lap around. It was around turn 5 coming through. He essentially turned this into a Japanese drift contest, kept the car together, but all 4 wheels sliding and opposite lock to the max. Kroenke, though, keeping it, and at the moment, yeah, this is just incredible to see Kroenke pushing to the limit.
Although last time by he was a second slower pushing, and it does look as though he's just kept that gap at a manageable 3.1 seconds now. That car ahead of him, which is Gregor Hutu, just pushing wide. He doesn't want to bin this race, of course. Championship points are so important. Every point matters. Jeremy Bootsley has now caught up to the rear of this 4-car train with Enzo Benito, Martin Piatella, Oli Picala, and then Jeremy Bootsley there in the mix, right on board with Jeremy Bootsley. And this is going to be an interesting one to see. The highs and lows of Jeremy Bootsley. Well, he's led this race. He's also been as low as P number 18 today, as he's down 4 positions from where he started, as his last lap time was a 1 minute 36.002. That was 2 tenths of a second faster than Picala out front, but he's just not gaining enough, Rachel, on these last couple of laps to be able really to get into that dirty air. Now, because he is just hitting the front end of that dirty air, there's not much he can really do.
No, you've got to kind of find an opportunity, probably under the brakes, to punch into that dirty air. When you're a certain distance behind the car, it's so difficult to close up. And yeah, you have to just brake a little bit later, get yourself inside that air. Once you're there, you can actually use it and gain up and pass people, but with it disturbing the front air of the spoiler that far back, it's so tricky for the car to actually corner properly and gain.
As we have a look from the rear of Enzo Benito through Martin Piatella down in towards turn number 5 they come once again. That is a Team Redline car battling it out with Carina Sim Sports down into 5, now up into 6 once again. Great little scrap going on. 5 laps of this race to go. Well, here's the thing, in 2 weeks time we go even more exciting. Down the field, Paul Ilbrink battling out with Sebastian Job, P23 versus P24. The Radicals Online car battling it out with the Apex Racing machine down in your pack. And well, Ilbrink was one of those other drivers on the 2-stop strategy, but Sebastian Job, actually no, having a look at our pit stop times, I'm completely mistaken, because of course Ilbrink was the one, Johnny, who was on the 2-stop and then transverted it onto the 1-stopper, because he came at the same time as his teammates and then just put in 13.7 seconds worth of fuel.
It's always unsettling doing the opposite of what you planned if you was planning to 2-stop. So yeah, Paul Ilbrink now, he struggled down in P23, but Sebastian Job struggled the most, and it's a good experience for him nonetheless. He's in the World Championship. He has to try and gain the positives out of what he's racing in today. It's been a very fun race as well. Kroenke, though, well, he's pretty much settled for the lead with 4 laps remaining. Hutu's sealed that, and he probably will win this race unless some curse I've just put on him happens.
Well, here you can see Jeremy Bootslip has now caught up to the rear of Oli Picala, down in towards turn number 1, 4 laps to go. In 2 weeks' time, of course, the iWCGPS World Championship Grand Prix Series makes its debut to Monza. And if you thought this race has been exciting, you just wait until we get to the fastest track in Grand Prix Series history. That'll be in 2 weeks' time, here only on RaceSpotTV, where I might be a little bit worse for wear, but hey, we'll talk about that one after the race. Here you can see Oli Picala still in a sandwich. As you can see, a little bit of a wiggle for Picala. That's going to put him under pressure from Jeremy Bootslip as they work themselves down in towards turn 6 once again. This one, we talked about it in the pre-race video, Johnny, can very easily go down to the wire. And even though it's not going to be for the race lead, as I said a moment ago, every position matters.
At the moment, though, Jeremy Bootloop, every position's going to have to matter to him. Can he finish in 5th position? It's right up ahead of him. 3 drivers trying to hang on. 3 drivers under pressure from the Frenchman at the moment. You can see there the car's not that affected by dirty air. He's closing in the slipstream up to Pacala's rear wing. He's too far back, though. This is where those in-car adjustments you can make really are crucial. Dialing in that extra front wing angle and benefiting around in the dirty air. So this is important across the main straight. He has to make a pass stick, braking very deep. This is very good from Jeremy Bootloop.
He does lose himself though, a tenth of a second on the exit of the corner. You can see as we've got that speed chart showing, he now begins to close up again as they work themselves up the hill. There are now just 3 laps of this event remaining. Outstanding battles, by the way. Yuli Tomato versus Richard Avery. They're separated by half a second as Bootloop can't do anything down in towards turn number 1. You've then also got yourself Benjamin Lindsay, Sebastian Jobe going side by side. The run down to Canada corner they come. Your TNT Racing car down to the inside and past Sebastian Jobe. He moves himself now up 1 position, pushing wide down the exit of the corner. Jobe not able to make a move. Back pass into Bill Mitchell Ben.
There goes Bootloop, Will.
As here we can see.
Oh, on the grass, on the grass! Running down to turn 5, squeezed there by Oli Pacala.
We'll get ourselves a quick replay of that one then. This is down in towards turn number 5. And here we are. We start from looking down in towards turn number 1. And Bootloop running on board of him. And we saw this earlier on in the race actually with another driver down on the grass down in towards turn number 5. We're running on board with Bootloop. The question will be,
dodgy.
what will it be? Race control. See, where's movement made the most fast? Now, Oli Picard already moved to the inside. And they almost make contact.
That was a reaction. He moved across as a reactionary block. I think that was a squeeze.
Well, we'll get a word from race control potentially after this event, but we have got Bacala versus Bootloop. That one continues down in position number 7 and 8, and they have now lost the draft though. Actually, Martin Piatella has been able to pull away and now get himself into the clutches of Enzo Benito. Benito looking as though he might well secure that P number 5. There are, though, ladies and gentlemen, just 2 laps of this event to go, and Hutu versus Kroenke, 3.5 seconds, Johnny.
Yeah, so that's pretty much signed, sealed, delivered there for the win for Gregor Hutu. At the moment, though, we're talking about Bootloop passing Oli Pacala. He might have a go at Martin Piatella now to turn 1. Can he indeed stick it up the inside? He's too far back. And, wow, yeah, so I think, though, with that incident there, in my opinion anyway, it seemed that it was a bit of a late defense. It was very similar to the Alatalo move before the race that you mentioned, Will. Very, very similar. Bootloop onto the grass. It seemed like a very late defensive maneuver, in my opinion. I mean, there's no question about it. It should have came earlier. The driver in front really needs to pick his defensive line quite earlier than that.
Yeah, it will be a controversial moment towards the end of this event. Here you can see Bootloop back down to the inside almost. No, this is standing towards turn number 6. A lap and a half left to go in this event. Piatella versus Pacala versus Bootloop. This is for P6, 7 and 8. Down in your pack, you still get yourself Richard Avery battling out with Yoni Tomato. You're right on board with Richard Avery. Down to the outside, he comes in towards turn number 5. Will Avery be able to break later? The answer to that question is going to be no, he won't. They'll stay side by side there through turn number 5. Avery having the outside line, almost getting chopped off there by Yoni Tomato down in towards turn number 6. That won't make him happy. But back to this battle, a little bit further up for your field. Bootloop, has he got anything to get himself past that drive of Oli Pacala? Not down into Canada corner. Running on board with Pacala right now. The white flag is out. 1 more lap to go for Gregor Hutu as he starts his final lap of this racetrack. And well, Rachel, still plenty of battles to go. Bootloop needs to push now.
He does. He's not got long left, of course. Going on to the final lap here, so this is it. This is go time. Bootloop has to make this move, of course. He's already had 1 run-in with Pacala. Probably would have had passes already as they're 2 wide up ahead of him. Pacala and Piatella side by side into turn 1. Pacala will take that position now. It's really disadvantaged Pacala there, so... Well, Piatella, sorry. So hopefully that can give Bootloop the chance to close up.
Yeah, that was Oli Pacala moving himself past Martin Piatella. We'll get ourselves a replay of this one after the race because here you can see Jeremy Bootloop looking to potentially capitalise as well, move himself up 1 position. But Piatella, he's going to try and line himself up to the outsides, rattle on board with Bootloop. As you can see, they're going to be 2 wide down into turn number 5. Final lap of the race here. Bootloop's going to try and do the switch under. He will move himself down to the inside of the driver of Piatella. They're going to be side by side through turn number 6. Incredible battle. Last lap of the race. Bootloop moves himself up 1 position. But here comes Gregor Hutu into Canada corner for the final time. Just 2 corners left to go before he finally makes himself a triumphant return back to victory lane. He has led 38 laps of this event here today, and Gregor Hutu once again is a winner in the iWCGPS World Championship Grand Prix Series dominant victory by him. Kroenke will come home in the second position. As there you can see, Hutu past the start finish line. Kroenke will claim second place, and then it's away back to Alexei Usiakola, who will come home in third. Back to this battle down the field. It looks like it's all sorted itself out for the time being. We got ourselves Nakurian having himself a last lap battle with Picard. Hapada. That's not going to sort itself out. Yakola will come home in third place at the line. Hugo Luis just 7 tenths of a second back, but it will be Yakola and then Louise, and then running out your top 5. There you can see Enzo Benito, Marta Piatella, Oli Picard, Jeremy Bootloop, Andre Borgia, and Robin Friscops will round out your top 10, Johnny. What a race we've had!
No, we've got our money's worth certainly this afternoon as well. Good hats off to Isaac Price and Ricky Alatalo. 13 positions gained for each of them. They finished in 14th and 19th respectively for those two. As I said, money's worth this afternoon. Incredible racing. Alexei Usiakola, though, our championship leader, he hasn't extended his lead to Hutu, who now jumps into second. We know Mitchell de Jong absent from this race. But yeah, Alexei Usiakola still the championship leader, so it's not quite a disastrous round for him. Still on the final step of the podium.
Yep, well, here you can see then, it has been an incredible, incredible race. And let's run you through your final race results. Actually, we'll do that in a moment's time. I think everyone has now moved themselves past start-finish line. I'm just waiting for the last couple of drivers. And indeed, there they are. Samuel Clark and Tomo Megalek just working themselves towards the end of this event. We had ourselves, interestingly enough, 30 drivers finish themselves by the looks of it on the lead lap. But we'll run you through your final race results here from Road America. Well, Gregor Hutu then claiming himself victory by 3.2 seconds over Martin Kroenke. Alexei Usiakola in the third position. Then Hugo Luis in fourth. Enzo Benito in fifth. Oli Picard in sixth. Jeremy Bootloop seventh. Marta Piatella in eighth. Andre Borgia in ninth. And Robin Friscops rounding out your top 10. Your battle between Hutu and Kroenke, it was as close as 2 seconds with 10 laps to go. Then Kroenke had himself a scruffy lap and decided that it just wasn't worth it trying to push to try and get himself the victory. He finishes though within 3 seconds of that Team Redline driver. And for the Radicals Online team, after starting with 2 cars inside the top 10, they only get themselves 1 car into the top 10 come the race end with Jeremy Bootloop, and someone surely in that team will be questioning that 2-stop strategy here today. Having looked further back, you can see in P number 11, Ilka Hapala for the Orion race team. Then Jonas Nakurian in 12th, Antoine Hegel in 13th, Isaac Price in 14th, Mogar Filo, Joran Tamala, Jake Sturgis, Rico Alatalo, Richard Avery, and Paulo Mulia running out your top 20. And there is a look at the remainder of your race results. And get that, 30 drivers finishing on the lead lap here today in the 4th round of the iWCGPS World Championship Grand Prix Series. We will step aside for just 1 moment, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back with post-race highlights after these messages. You're watching RaceSpotTV, home of the world's biggest sim racing events. cars are lined up on the grid. The iWCGPS World Championship Grand Prix Series. We are underway. They all come down into turn 1 for the first time.
Look at the...
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to coverage of the 4th round of the iWCGPS World Championship Grand Prix Series, where Gregor Hutu makes a triumphant return to victory lane. Martin Kroenke coming home in 2nd place with Alexei Usiakola in 3rd, as we'll now have a chat to your podium here on RaceSpotTV, and we will start with a driver who's been out of victory lane for quite a while, but Gregor Hutu, welcome back to iWCGPS victory lane in the World Championship Grand Prix Series. Your first win of the season, and it has been a pretty dominant performance.
Thanks. Yeah, it was a pretty tough race all the way through, but it's a bit easier when you can start from the front, so that made things a lot easier. But yeah, Martin was fast on the second stint, so had to push hard to the end.
Well, let's start by talking about qualifying, because it did look as though that your first qualifying lap you bought in, it wasn't until the last 2-3 minutes of the session that you posted your lap time. Of course, it did get you to pole position, but just how hard were you pushing here?
Yeah, I mean, the first lap in qualifying was actually a bit better than my second one. I had to take it a bit easy on the second lap to get a lap in. I think everyone was struggling a bit with the conditions, so I don't think anyone did a really great lap. But yeah, was great to get a pole. It's been a while.
Well, you got yourself pole. You pretty much dominated the event. Were you worried at all that the Radicals car and also Coanda might have been able to outsmart you on pit strategy? Because it's such a wide pit window here that there's so many different options you can take.
Yeah, basically you always have to wait until the pit stops, you know, before you can know for sure. So I didn't know how long Martin would go, so that was the only thing I was worried about. But he pitted 1 lap later, so I thought it should be okay.
And you win your first race of the season, 4th round of the championship. Next time out, we head ourselves to an unknown, to Monza, and it's going to be a track where it really is an unknown for World Championship drivers, because it's the first real low downforce track in series history. How excited are you to make that trip to Italy in 2 weeks' time?
Yeah, that should be pretty exciting into turn 1 in the start. Yeah, it's gonna be nice to do a race on a new track for a change. So yeah, definitely looking forward to it. And I guess Inex cars are the favorite since they have the top speed.
Yes, we'll talk about that in a couple of moments' time. But before we let you go, first of all, would you like to say a word to any of your fans in Finnish? And secondly, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Thanks to Fanatec and OKO. Ja kisa oli aika hyvä tällä kertaa, että piti vetää kovaa koko kisan ajan loppuun asti. Mutta paalupaikka tietysti auttoi paljon, että pääsee ajamaan puhtaassa ilmassa, niin se on paljon helpompaa. Kiitos.
Kiitos indeed, ladies and gentlemen. Fanatic Team Red Lines, Gregor Hutu coming home with his first win of the season. Rachel Whiteford stood by the driver who came home in 2nd place, Martin Kroenke.
Thank you, Will. I'm here with Martin Kroenke, of course, from Coanda Racer Simsport. Martin, second place today and fastest lap of the race. How was it from your seat?
Certainly an interesting race. Unfortunately, as Greg already mentioned, I think nobody got a pretty decent lap in qualifying. That was the case for me as well. So yeah, I had to settle for second place in qualifying, which is still okay. Front row, can't complain. From then on, it was basically most of the time just driving behind Gregor. There was no real way past. He was a little bit fast on the straightaway as well, which was surprising since we already thought that we are pretty fast in the straight line. And yeah, when I saw that he was pitting a lap earlier than I do, well, I knew I could maybe close the gap a little bit. I think it shrank down from 6 seconds to around 4.5 seconds or 4 seconds. But in the end, it didn't really make much of a difference.
While still coming home in second position on the podium is good championship points for you. Of course, heading to Monza next. How are you and Coanda looking forward to that?
Very looking forward to that. Certainly a very interesting thing. The first time since I think 4 years or so that we will probably run medium or low downforce. Probably a pretty interesting thing as well into turn 1 with 35 cars storming with way beyond 300 kilometers an hour into a corner that's probably done at around 80. So yeah, looking forward to that.
Of course, that was an interesting first race into a new first corner at Circuit of the Americas last year, so hopefully turn 1 at Monza will not be quite as entertaining. But thank you, Martin. Well?
Yep, for us, Coanda Sim Sports coming home in second place. And then third place, it is another Fanatec Team Redline car. It is the driver of iWCGPS Dracula, and he stood by with Johnny Simon.
Thanks very much, Alexi. Great P3 result there for you, but it's not what you want, really. You want to win more races. I mean, what was the struggle today? Why were you not up the front for P1?
Well, hi guys, and thanks. Well, I couldn't be more happier about the result. The car was terrible. We struggled with weather and the track and everything. Our team had bad motivation to try to improve the car, and basically we did our almost all of our work in 2 days. So well, couldn't be better. But qualifying was actually pretty satisfying because I knew that I will be at least half a second off my pace here because it's so hard to get a good lap in this qualifying. So actually that 0.5 in qualifying was pretty good, and P8 was not too bad to start with.
Yeah, I remember in the Grand Prix series here a couple months ago, you were about lapping the field, and I was down the order, and I just wish I was as fast as you. At the moment, there's only P8 there on the grid, so yes, definitely struggling in qualifying. About next week though, now for the moment, we look at the championship. Gregor is in second, your teammate. Is it the same mentality from here on, or do you have a little bit of nervousness come the next few rounds in a couple weeks' time, knowing that it's a couple weeks, I made a mistake there, knowing that Gregor, your teammate, is in second place, and you really have that team pressure going on in the behind the scenes?
Well, yeah, it's actually it's kind of nice to have a battle with teammate. It's much much more fun than anyone else, because then you know that you can challenge him much more tighter at races. Actually, today I had a really great fight with Hugo, and it was so fun to go into the corner and know that he will leave space and you can just fight back, same as he did to me. So there's no worry about any crashes or anything. So well, next week, in 2 weeks, Monza will be a new track also to everybody, and not sure about how the car will go there. It can be good or it can be really bad. So it depends a lot of the weather, which is the wind direction and how it makes the car go there.
There were talks of drivers at Monza running different setups or different wings compared to what you normally run with this Williams car at the moment. Do you think that we could see abnormal wings from some teams compared to others?
Well, I don't know anything. I haven't tried Monza yet, so need to just see what the car does with medium downforce and see how it goes. But I think after all, it's gonna be high downforce. It's gonna be much more boring, but I think the car is so hard to handle on medium speed corners with medium downforce. So let's see what's gonna happen.
Well, that was third place finisher Alexius Siakala. Thank you for that. We'll hand it back to Will.
Yeah, and we've also...
Well, actually,
Go on.
I would like to thank my sponsors, Fanatec and OKO, for great support. And also, I wanna say something in Finnish. Joo,
No, you can't.
No kisahan meni ihan nätisti, että aika meni ihan prinkkalaksi ja 8 ruutua on periaatteessa ihan mahdoton nousta sieltä 3 kärkeä. Paitsi tänään oli hyvä tuuri, kun yksi tiimi oli väärällä taktiikalla ja siinä tuli periaatteessa 3 ilmaista sijoitusta, niin pääsi sitten nousee 3. että meni aivan loistavasti. Autohan tietysti meni kuin ajokoira koko kisa, että pitää kyllä parantaa seuraavaan kisaan tätä autoa, mutta ei siinä, kiitokset kaikille tukijoille ja ystäville ja muillekin ja tietysti sponsoreille, Fanatecille ja OKJuille. Joten kiitoksia kaikille ja katsokohan kisoja jatkossakin. 2 viikon päästä seuraava. Moi moi!
Kiitos. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Alexi Siakala who comes home in 3rd place here today. Rounding out your podium, Ollie Picardo for Fanatec Team Redline coming home in P number 7 on that number 3 car. Now, Ollie, your qualifying struggled itself a little bit today, and that put you on the back foot all the way through this race. But is P7 something that you're happy with?
It's P6, Will. Come on.
P7. It's my timing and scoring screen, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's hard job to watch races and commentate and just talk. But yeah, hey, I've been having so much hardware problems recently for the last 2 months, so it's pretty, as you can see from my results in the championship and so. Oh, P10 after penalty. Oh, I didn't hear that one, but yeah, I struggle a lot, but I hope it will get eventually better.
Well, as it stands, you're P6 in the championship. It's very close, actually, from Enzo Benito down to about Mitchell de Jong, P4 through P7. And we were talking in this race about how every point matters. How much was that in the back of your mind in those last couple of laps? And also, take us through your perspective from that incident with Jeremy Boosley with just a couple of laps to go.
Oh, you mean where he went to the grass in
Yes.
the straight? Oh, yeah. Yeah, of course. When you have 2 months, basically the whole start of the season, I've been having hardware problems and I can't, put 110% of my effort into this racing. So it's tough. It eats your motivation. It's very, very frustrating. So you have to keep talking to yourself that every point matters and just try to get at least some point. So it's pretty tough when you have problems, but yeah, I think that we hope it gets better sometime. But yeah, that incident with Jeremy. Well, basically he was behind me. I saw he had a run, and I watched the mirror. He was behind me, getting close, and then I decided that okay, I will choose inside line and took the inside line. And after that, when I was turned towards to the inside line, I watched to the mirrors, and he was coming from to my line. So then I just went back to right, and unfortunately he went a little bit of onto the grass, nothing else. So I don't think I could have done much more into it, but
Well, next time out, Monza, you looking forward to it? And do you want to say some words in Finnish as well?
oh, thank you. Yeah, sure. If I get my hardware problems solved, just a matter of time when I receive the needed new parts. But after that, I will enjoy every race. And Monza is new track. I hope low downforce and some stuff like that. So it will be a fun track. Hopefully, very much overtaking and stuff like that. And thanks to Fanatec for sponsoring us, and OKO and teammates who supported me, and okay, I don't know what Rachel is saying, but yeah. Oh, the sisu, yeah, the sisu. Please Google the sisu. Horse something it was like. But anyway.
Moving on!
No, I want finish.
Okay.
Eli hevosen vehkeitä meinas se juttu ja kuulemma ranskaksi ja ei mitään. Tässä on pari kuukautta eli koko kausi menty nyt rikkinäisillä vehkeillä. Nämä on, niin näkyy vähän niin kuin tänäänkin tossa, että ei pysty oikein antamaan täyttä efforttia, mutta toivottavasti oli hauska katsoa teikäläisillä. Saattoi olla vähän pikkuvääntöä tuossa poikien kanssa, että jotakin melskettä ja touhua. Ja itse ainakin tykkäsin ja jakkilipaa poikien kanssa, että jos nyt ei muuta, niin saa vähän vääntää jätkien kanssa. Ja eipä siinä mitään. Lähdetäänpä illan viettoon ja rokki soi ja huomenna on kaikilla mukavaa. Terveisiä kotiväelle ja muillekin tutuille, jotka tätä jaksaa katsoa. Thank you, Will. I hope you didn't dislike me after this.
That's okay. Olli Picard coming home in P number 6 here today. And in the interest of impartiality, Martin Kronkes, sprechen Sie Deutsch? Yeah? Nein?
I'm sorry, what?
Would you like to say some words in German?
Not in German, but I would like to thank
Okay.
Foracer for the support and also want to say thanks to Andrew Design.
Thank you. Well, Dankeschön. Well, before we go off air, it's probably interesting to talk about the next race, Johnny, because it's going to potentially be the craziest race we've had ever. Because we've heard drivers already talk about high downforce, medium downforce, low downforce, and we've joked time and time again about when we come to this racetrack how INX are arguably the favourites. Because of the fact that we see at tracks like Indianapolis, they used to just breeze past people. Realistically, they could well be the favourites. And the interesting point I got from Alexei was the team who managed to find out how to make a medium or, dare I say, a low downforce setup work for them are going to be the team going realistically, potentially, to victory lane, because they're going to be the ones passing drivers. You've got a couple of different things here. Strategy. The different downforce levels will affect the amount of fuel that you'll be able to burn per lap. But also, it'll be about top speed. It'll be about whether or not you focus on race pace rather than qualifying. And then, of course, you've got to get yourself through that first lap. And all the way through the first chicane, the Cova Grande, down to the second chicane, through the Les modes, it's going to be insane.
Yeah, it certainly is, and that's where teamwork comes into play. You have to test stuff like that in the next couple of weeks, 2 weeks, not 1 week. And I mean, stuff like, for example, if a driver can indeed pass someone who has an incredibly ridiculous top speed, that's something you really have to test. Testing different springs, how they react to Monza. Is the track very bumpy? It's all stuff that you really have to watch and test out for. And this is where the teams with not just the quantity of drivers, but the quality comes into play. That's where we see teams such as Redline and Coanda really coming into play in these races. But INX, as you said, that could really be interesting. Throw them into the battle, and we are in for another heck of a race. Not that today wasn't any crazy or wasn't crazy enough. Next 2 weeks, we're in for some special race at Monza.
Indeed, and Rachel, when we get to Monza, of course, we've seen the Radicals team be very strong here today, and you have got to look to the teams who you traditionally don't see as high up the grid, in my opinion, being the ones to do something, I'd say, dare I say it, a little bit more radical, because they are the ones who's probably got less to lose. The red line to the commanders of the world, they kind of have got to make sure they get themselves to top 5. They've got to focus on that consistency. People down the field, I think individually as well as a team, because you've got to remember that each different driver likes their setup to be just a little bit different here and there, and that can be the difference between being able to run a medium or a lay downforce setup. I think that's where you're going to see the bigger risks taken.
Yeah, certainly, and of course this is a very new track to everybody. We saw this last year at Car Park of the Americas, circuit, when we went there for the first time, and that really made things quite interesting that drivers didn't have that prior experience. Monza is the same, but completely different. And I think that's going to make it really exciting, because not only do we have Turn 1 with 35 superheroes in Formula 1 cars, which could be interesting, it's a very difficult and different track, so I do think you'll be seeing those smaller teams taking bigger swings at setup to try and get something with extra top-end speed, and that could upset the balance. Of course, Coanda and Team Redline, of course, are battling one another. They are realistically where the champion will come from, and they probably are going to fight to compete with each other. Whereas I think we might see some surprises coming through. Inex, certainly. Radicals, probably. And I think something interesting could also happen from Apex.
Indeed so. Don't forget, that will be here in 2 weeks' time on RaceSpotTV, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget the next round of the NASCAR Peak Atlantic Free Series, powered by iRacing.com, will be on April 21st, Richmond International Raceway, the shortest track of the season for 200 laps. Catch that one on PSR TV, MRN, the Motor Racing Network, Fans Choice TV, and on iRacing Live. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time for round number 5 of the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series, which will take place from Monza. Before we go off there, we have got the opportunity to run you through your top 5 drivers in the championship, and it is Alexei Usiakola, 175 points. Gregor Hutu's closing that gap down. He's got 154. Martin Kroenke still on the hunt with 140 points. Well then, a bit of a gap to Enzo Benito and Hugo Luis, who battle for P4 and P5 in the championship respectively, with 123 and 121 points. This has been a RaceSpotTV presentation of round number 4 of the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series. Myself, Will Vincent, Johnny Simon and Rachel Whiteford. Don't forget, the world's greatest sim racers live in the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series. We'll see you all next time. Bye-bye. Cars are lined up on the grid. The iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series. We are underway. They all come down into turn 1 for the first time.